Oh, it's not a laughing matter. It is not a laughing matter. Arsenal's not a laughing matter. Technical issues are not a laughing matter. So apologies. It's all my fault as usual. Your host, Ray, here, Arsenal Fan Circle. Season 3, episode 34. Thanks for joining us. Whoever is still with us, we're about, 22 minutes late. Technical issues, slight technical hitchings, whatever you want to call it, Russ and Ray Anderson. Alonso and Gary, thanks for joining and waiting while I got things sorted out here. So, slight technical hitchings, Gary, and we're trying to look at what the Spuds are doing during this podcast as well. And they might actually make us a little bit sad today.
Yes, yeah, they are. Well, one, they're leading, so that always makes us sad, and two, that means they'll be harder to catch. So yeah, they are doing what they're supposed to do, and we're punished. We're getting punished for the things we didn't do in the past. So yeah.
I think we know no matter what happens, Alonso, at the end of the season, we're going to be having, the post-mortem. What happened to Arsenal this season? Where did we lose points? And all of us can point to points in the season where we did lose those points. And, if Tottenham don't go Spursy, and if we can win the last two games, those are two big tall orders there, Alonso. But, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we should have done better in the fall seasons. September, October, November we were awful. So we can only hope that we learn from our lesson, or they learn from our lesson, and get moving, because we got the Euros coming up, and then training, I guess, and then you have the start of the season, I guess, in August. So. Yeah, I mean, we don't have time to mess up again like last summer. So, they got to get better signings in fast, and it comes fast. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, 10 more games left to get show off right. So we'll see.
Shout out to Steven, Russ Morgan, Ray Anderson, all four viewers who are still here with us. Really appreciate you, and hopefully, as people get notifications now, more and more will roll in, and things will start happening here, and maybe Wolverhampton Wanderers will do something. Steve Denham, it's thundering and lightning here. I've had my tin foil hat off. Matt here, come on, my family, and it's raining here. So it's raining in the UK, Gary, so let's hope it rains down on the Spuds a little bit more.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I got the sun just creeped up. It's shining over here. So, hopefully that means things will turn better for us today. Because so far, not so good.
James is in the house. So James is our resident Spurs fan, but we are all family here. We do want Arsenal. I know, Gary, I know. We do want Arsenal to win, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, there's a good question here from Russ. Alonso, do you like the new kit? I'm not really a fan of it myself. Gary?
Did we lose him? Was that a question for me?
Yeah.
I thought it was for Alonso.
Well,
sorry.
When Alonso comes back in.
The new kits, I actually really don't. I mean, they look okay. For me, anyways, I think since the '71 jerseys were yellow, I guess I'm sort of okay with them, because that's the year of my birth. So, anything yellow, I think it'll be good. They look nice. Material looks nice as well. So, I mean, that's the problem, right? We're talking about kits. I mean, that we can talk about kits every other week, because that's what's going on with the team. There's always another kit coming out, always another whatever coming out. But when do we get the wins? When are we going to get some wins? I mean, we need wins, and we only got 2 left that we can get now. But the kits look okay. I don't. I mean, I don't get too hung up on the kits, colors, and stuff like that. I guess one because
Yeah,
I
I
never
guess
could. I
the
could one. I
bigger.
could never. One I could never afford them when I was younger. And my dad always would go and get the spin-offs anyways. So it's like and nowadays people like get the spin-offs anyway. So
Yeah,
turn
the
around.
knockoffs.
It's come off to that. It's come to that point where people don't want to give the money to Arsenal, but I don't think it matters. So we'll see. Yeah.
Two Alonso for the price of one. Yeah. I also was born in the year of 71, so we were destined to be Arsenal fans, Gary, because we did double in 71. And yeah, the color yellow doesn't quite match the color back then in 71 on the new kits. I guess there's as with anything, Alonso, Arsenal fans are divided, and one thing we were united against was Stan Kroenke for one day. It seemed like one day, it seemed like Arsenal fans have gone back to. I don't know. I think you're frozen again, Alonso.
Oh,
Arsenal fan. No, you're there. Okay, good.
You're gonna have to keep blinking, or else we're gonna
Keep
assume
moving or
that we
something.
lost here.
yeah.
The one thing we were united against was Stan Kroenke, and that's sort of it seems like the energy's gone away a little bit.
Well, I think it went downhill whenever we lost to Villarreal in the semifinal because whenever you ride at Lightning, you can only do it so far, and when your team's not doing that great, then what's the point? We lost at Thunder, and it sucks because we still want Cronky out. It's just that we don't know how to do it now because our team's not that great in the table now. So we kind of lost that pizzazz. And I still want them out, but we're not in England. We're not there in London. So and then with this whole COVID thing over there, it's lost now, I think. And so, it's just up to, I think, Daniel, how do you say his last name? Is it
Daniel Ek.
Yeah, right.
Daniel Ek.
It's up to him now to put the pressure on the Cronkies. Because it seems like he really wants to buy the club, and he's really a supporter. He really knows what it takes to be an owner, and he cares. Where the Cronkies take the arrogant route, and it's like more convenient for them to show up whenever it's time for them to do so. And back to your point about the kits, I like the kit. I like the way Adidas has done things in the past 2-3 years that they come out, and it makes you realize how badly Puma messed things up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's just something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably buy it.
So I want to tell everyone what we're going to get through today. We're going to talk about the ownership. We're going to talk about Daniel Ek. We're going to talk about the lack of caring from the ownership. It all hit home to us yesterday when the FA Cup was won by Leicester City. So I'm very, very happy that Leicester won the game. I think all Arsenal fans are probably united against Chelsea in that way. We want to get through talking about some of the players that are reported to leave. We're going to take a look at the Premier League watch in terms of if we're going to make it to Europe. We have a whole combination of results that we need to get. And want to talk about Arsenal's soft centre. I've got some facts here about our midfielders and our defenders, our central defenders. So didn't have a lot of time to put that up on the banners here because of technical issues, but we'll definitely be able to fill that out and talk about it. A couple of key people in the team that we would probably want to keep in the team would be controversial, but we'll reveal all that a little bit later. And then finally, Crystal Palace review. They've beaten Aston Villa today in what was an entertaining game, 3-2, and Arsenal have to go to Selhurst Park as well on Wednesday. We're not going to get into Europe unless we win our last two games and get to 61 points. And even then, it's not the improvement we were hoping for this season. I'll readily admit that, even though I still want to see what Arteta's going to do into October and maybe November of this year. As Stephen said here, they've brought the cannon back, but it's still facing the wrong way. Russ is here. The kits sold make minimal profit for Arsenal. I think that's a good point, but we want to get to a point, Russ, where the sponsors are starting to second guess or actually try to renegotiate their terms year on year. I think Daniel Ek can apply pressure, as Alonso has said, but Arsenal fans need to start applying some pressure as well, both protesting outside the games and inside the game. There'll be some supporters that have a lottery system to get into the Brighton game, and hopefully we're going to see some protests. But also we got to look at the sponsors that the team have, and we got to try to impact Stan Kroenke financially, because Gary, Stan has actually never sold any of his pet interests, any of his financial interests. He hasn't sold anything yet.
Yeah, I mean he's got no reason to sell them either, right? I mean this is Arsenal's doing exactly what they need. They're overachieved just enough to keep them afloat, and he doesn't have to put any money in, right? So we want better coaching, but if we get better coaching, it just means less chance of ownership changing. So it seems like it's going to be something drastic that's going to be required for him to even feel like changing, but there's no reason to, right? I think
There's no pressure.
we're kind of stuck with them. We'll see if they want to communicate. I know I just saw that the Arsenal Trust, Supporters Trust, actually sent at least a tweet. At least they posted out there where they want to communicate with KSC to basically figure out when they said that they don't need the money, what does that mean? In regards to X bid, right? Because I think if they said they want to communicate with us. Now this is definitely a reason. When you state the bid is not worthy of catering or considering because you don't need the money. What does that mean? Because what does that mean? Because it's more we don't necessarily. He can sell it for whatever he wants. It's more the case of what are you going to do for the team, right?
The Cronkies have clearly come out and said they personally don't need the money from the sale of Arsenal. They have enough financial wealth that it's not going to.
It's not entirely true, right? It's not entirely true. I mean, they do have $2 to $3 billion of a loan on the stadium they just built, right? They put up. I mean, if you looked, I looked at the numbers yesterday because I was on the Gals thing, and they were talking about it, and I think it was initially $4 billion for the stadium. I think it turned out to be $5 billion, but most over half of it is a loan. So that's money that they have to pay back, right? So if somebody said you can take Arsenal and sell it and then pay off that loan and own everything, would you do it? I don't know. Why not? So, it's I think like Alonso said, as soon as we lost the Villarreal game, we lost a little bit of momentum there. I think if we would have lost the game, it would have built back up. But the fact that it was a draw, I think, kind of tempered it a little bit. But if they would have come out and just beat us, because I think that's that seems the only thing that's going to create the stir that we need to create the the reaction that we need. Yeah, I mean the draw seemed kind of like depressing a little bit, but not like enough to get people thinking that we need to do something about this. So yeah, I think we're in. It's. I think Stan Kroenke is just sitting there kind of laughing at the situation. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, we did good with the first protest. We need to do it again. We'll see how people feel. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the jerseys, about the players leaving, which are all kind of positive signs that kind of detract from what actually is going on, right? You know, it doesn't matter if the players leave; we still are managed the same way from the top down. Doesn't matter, you know, that we got a new jersey if we're still managed the same way. And we'll be back doing this, you know, come December, looking at the team going, well, you know, nothing's changed again, right? And, you know, I think fans in the stands should make a big difference, especially if we are struggling. I just kind of, I wonder if we will struggle because we do have good players. We can't get something out of them every once in a while.
Yeah,
I think we always get that little bit of a things are bad, things are bad, things are bad, and then we get a little jolt. But consistency, you know, we talk about consistency, and the team isn't consistent. So that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
We know
not consistent, Gary, not consistent over the full course of the season, but since December, our form puts us third in the table.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's good and bad. That means, well, that means when we had nothing, we failed so many times that now we're starting to play okay. The trick is, are we going to start the season that way? Are we going to build, like, once again, are we going to build on what we just did? We didn't do it. We didn't do it. We didn't do it at the beginning of this season, right? You win the FA Cup, you think, all right, we can build on that. You bring in Gabriel, you bring in Partey. You know, things should be better for the team. No, they weren't. You know, we struggled. You know, we came out, we won a couple of games, and then we struggled. You know, we hit as soon as we played that Liverpool game, I think it was, we struggled since, you know, from then onwards until December, right?
Yep.
That can't happen. We're not that bad of a team, and we can't make all these excuses. Well, we didn't have a summer, you know, season, the preseason, and all this. No, you got good enough players, and you know these players now. You only brought in 3, right? You brought in 3 new players. The rest of them Arteta knew. So you should have known what was good or bad about them, where they should play, what the formation should be, how to get the best out of the team. He didn't do that. So we just wasted away, you know, and watched these games get away from us that we shouldn't, you know, that should have never happened. We had situations. Think about it. Everybody knew. We knew when we played Leicester City how that game was going to go, right? We were going to struggle to score, and then they were going to bring in Vardy when they needed it, if the game looked like it was going to be something that they could achieve, right? And that's exactly what happened. I mean, we call these scenarios over and over and over again, how things are going to play out. We do get surprised once in a while, but we see it every time, and it's like you see a lineup, and you're like, we're going to struggle here. Guess what? We struggle there.
I guess, Gary, what I'm struggling with is we had a terrible first part of the season. I'll bring Alonso in. Alonso, we had a terrible first part of the season up until December. And, you know, I'll keep harping on about it because the consistency, we wanted to go from August to May. It just so happened it started in December. So I'm looking at the team since December, and we've been a different team since the end of December. Before that, it was horrible. And to Gary's point, we're going to highlight some of the stats from our central defenders, the 4 of them, and their 4 central midfielders. So we'll get into that a little bit later, which might shed some light on some things. But Alonso, I'm hoping we can take this consistency into the last 2 games of this season and continue it from the start in August of next season. Because if that doesn't happen, Arteta's going to be out of here.
Yeah, and the problem with that, Ray and Gary, is that we really didn't have a proper, you know, summer because of the whole COVID thing, and then there were a lot of rumors about us being Alvar and then a party and Alvar and party, and we only came up with one of them, and there was still an argument of who should we get, right? Because at the time we were still struggling to get goals. However, the first 2 games, I believe, we won, right? And I remember
6 out of 6.
Yeah, I remember whenever Gabriel had scored his first goal, right? And that was pretty awesome because you're like, all right, cool, we got something going finally. After years of not winning two of the first games, right? And then it all went to crap after that. Then we signed an injured party, and he can never go on the field for a long time. And so that kind of ruined the team's chemistry because we were depending on Xhaka and Ceballos and maybe Onene as well.
Yep.
So there was no creativity still. And that was up until I think one of the two got hurt, and we brought in, MLS plus Rowe, and then things started looking good, right? So I think what happened was I think the formations were all messed up. I think we were playing people out of position as well, so it cost us the fall summer season. I mean, the first half of the season where we had a struggle, and we had to make it up, right? And then that's where we're at right now. We're 9th and 10th position.
Yeah,
And
we're hovering 9th and 10th. Hopefully, being pushed a little higher, and it's not where we want to be. I was looking back at the prediction podcast that we did at the start of the season, just in preparation for a podcast we're going to do in a couple of weeks. Mahir, myself, Gary, and Tony, we all put some predictions out there across 5 different topics. Who would win the league? Who would win the Premier League? Who would be our top scorer? Who would be? How many goals will we score? How many goals against? Interesting stuff coming up in a little bit. As Lombard Cam said here, I'm not spending a penny on merch. Who wants to rep a team that are shit? Haven't bought a shirt since 2015, and I'm the same. This shirt is from last year, and I'm not going to be, buy knockoffs. Don't support Cronky and the team. As Lombard Camp goes on to say, we need to boycott all the kits and any merch to screw up their sponsorship deals. This will tempt Cronky to sell in some way, shape, or form, some small way. As Ray said here, playing devil's advocate, if we boycott the merch, Cronky might say they aren't going to allow the club to spend any money because of a loss of money from merchandise. And even worse than that, I'll go to Gary. They may want to sell one of our prized assets. Russ said, it's the matches that we lose that's the issue for me. Our home form has been appalling, definitely. I wanted to mention Thursday night, Gary. We've got 55 points in the bag right now. 30 of those points have come from away from home, and 25 have been from our form at home.
Yeah, that's Arteta for you. Like I said, he surprises us. Home, away. Why does it matter? It shouldn't matter, at least in this particular scenario, right? You don't have to travel, so it should make it easier. This is the field you play on most of the time, so
there's no fans in the stadium, so it shouldn't be intimidating.
Yeah.
Either, when
so
you're going away to these teams.
I feel like it's more of art. Well, I don't know if it's. I would have to look at the stats, but the games that we lost at home were the ones where he kind of was tinkering around, trying to do something new, and it failed. Because he did a lot of tinkering when there's no time. You don't have time to do that, really, especially if you got games back to back to over and over, twice a week. You really need to figure things out and stick with it, and then just build on it. We didn't do that, so I think home away. I don't think it really, at least in this season, to me, doesn't. I don't think it really matters. I feel it's more of the coaching and the management that we had going on with the team, and that's kind of what's So it didn't really matter where we played. Right? We beat Chelsea twice.
Home away shouldn't matter anymore because the crowds are not in the stadiums, Gary.
Yeah, yeah. The players said that they like to have the fans in the stadium, and that's the reason why they play better. And
yeah,
is it really?
There's pros and cons there. Obviously, if they had fans in the stadium and were stinking it up, they'd hear about it. They wouldn't want the fans to be in the stadium.
Yeah, but they don't want it now, and we're not in the stands now. We got on there. You got on there, and he's saying, I want you guys to support us. Blah 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 blah. That if you're in the stadiums and you're screwing up, guess what? You're gonna hear it. We're not gonna be nice to you because you're wearing a red shirt, right? You make a mistake. I mean, you strangle somebody, you punch them, whatever you do, you headbutt somebody, and you get taken off. Then you're gonna hear from it from the team, right? So just I got a little alert on my phone, so we're gonna be even more upset with the game where it's going. So yeah, so
Tottenham are going to probably get 3 points today.
Yeah, the like I said, the home form, I don't know. I think that for me, it's more of the team. I mean, if we had a starting 11, a strong 11, and we were building off of that, then I would say, you know what, they're not because that's more the issue for us. What's our starting 11 that we can depend on? That we need to get 3 points. Who are we going to put out there? We don't know that. We've never seen it, right? Continually, he switches and changes. There's no he wants consistency out of the players, but he's not consistent with the squad that he puts out there week to week, game to game. Switches all the time. Nobody can get any build, can build off of it, especially when you don't need to. We're deep enough that we can play, and then we can plug and play when we need to pull people out. We never do that, so we struggle. Yeah, it's not. I'm not going to have much good to say about Arteta because of that.
Right. Well, let's. Alonso, as Gary said, he mentioned the word tinkering, and let me get a few comments in here before I give you the next question. Stephen said, "Ray, that's what I was thinking. If we mess with the sponsorship money, we are a self-sustaining club, so won't that just make the team worse come transfer time? Because Cronkies ain't spending. I think we're still going to be able to sell. Stephen, I think we're going to be able to. We'll need to sell players in order to generate funds to bring players in. But Alonso, as Gary said, tinkering. And I always hated that word because in relation to Arteta, but I can't deny it's not true. It absolutely is true. He's tinkered with the lineup so much. And another tinkerman 5 or 6 years ago was Claudio Ranieri, and Leicester City won the league under Claudio Ranieri, and they've gone on to win the FA Cup yesterday against Chelsea. So let's talk about this segment, and particularly we are all envious and jealous of the scenes at the end because we won an FA Cup last year, but we didn't have any ownership involvement celebrating the cup on the field. Now, we probably wouldn't have welcomed it because of the Cronkies and the way they've supported Arsenal since they've been here, but it was really, really nice to see Leicester win. What I'm calling it the VAR Cup final because Chelsea had a goal against them through Tielemans scoring, which in the lead up it could have been chalked off for VAR. And then scenes at the end when Chilwell, a former Leicester player, thought that he had scored and given offside, Alonso. So for us Gooners, we had a couple of chuckles yesterday with that FA Cup final.
Yeah, especially whenever we see Giroud, celebrating with Chilwell. It was quite hilarious at the very end. And so, I had to chuckle myself, right? But, whenever I was watching it at home on ESPN Plus, I believe, and the way, Leicester City's owner went, he looked in the sky, I guess, with his dad, right? Because he passed away tragically.
Yeah.
In a helicopter accident. And the way that the announcers were saying, well, it's told from top to bottom, the club's like a family, right? And that's something that you want to see our Arsenal. And I envy the Leicester
ownership
supporters because because they care and they love their supporters and the supporters of them as well. And you think about like our team, right, and the ownership that we have. they're never there, and then they're cocky and arrogant as well with the way that they've presented themselves. So, there's something said there's something said to be about there's something said to be there's something said there's
Something to be said about.
right, yeah,
Even.
about that, because you see it. I mean, he was hugging the players after they won, and it was a good game. And it shows you how weak Chelsea are about playing and through the back. They're not very good, and I'm just happy Leicester City won the FA Cup and beat Chelsea.
Yeah,
and I'm happy for our ownership as well, because they I wouldn't say deserved it, but they needed that.
Yeah, no, the Leicester City really needed it. Vardy really needed a medal to go out again, because he's definitely slowed down the season. I don't know if he's going to retire soon, but he's not going to be the same Jamie Vardy he used to be. And Gary, Ray Anderson said the VAR calls were right. I want to say Leicester were fortunate with the goal that they got, because it did come off of the player's hand in the build-up to that goal.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that play. I didn't see how the ball came off of his leg.
So it was a clearance that came, and he tried to stop the ball from Chelsea, hit his knee and bounced up towards his hand, which was quite close to his knee, and the ball popped in front of him, and then he was able to pass it forward to Tielemans. So he definitely got the bounce of the ball. Well, he didn't intend to handle the ball, but it did happen.
Yeah, I mean, the message behind the rule is one thing, but like there's got to be to some degree the referee on the field has to be able to make some decisions, and feel and decide whether or not he feels that it benefited the team that much. And I don't think that was the one. I think there was a couple passes before, or one or more passes after that, before they even got the goal. So, in the letter of the law, yes, it could be considered, but that's not, to me, that's not what VAR is supposed to correct. That's not something to correct. Like if he handed the ball down and then shot it, then yeah, I'm gonna, VAR should be able to analyze that. But the pass before the shot, before the pass before the dribble, where the defense basically is left him wide open. Is that all open? Did it all happen because of the handball? I don't think so. But
And how far back should you go in doing that, Gary?
Exactly, and they go back. So it's got to help them score immediately, right? They always talk about because the ball is going to come off somebody's leg. Nobody can control that, especially when it's when the ball's coming at them. So I don't like VAR because it's trying to perfect the game, and I'm going to say that over and over and over again. It's trying to make the game perfect. Game's not perfect.
Game's not.
You've got human beings on the field, human beings that make good decisions, bad decisions, all those types of things. So it's not perfect. Can it clear the easy? It should be really easy to correct. What they're, you shouldn't have to slow the thing down to microseconds to see does it actually tip his hand and the ball direction change. If you have to do that, then you're wasting VAR, wasting our time, right? If you have to get out a millimeter ruler kind of thing to see whether or not a play is offsides, then VAR is not. That's not what VAR is. I think it's for. You're trying to perfect a game, and there's no, you don't want. Let's not do that, right?
Yeah. And as Ray says here, it did come off his knee first, deflected off his knee toward his hand, which was close to his knee, obviously. It doesn't count as handball. I just know if this happened to us in a cup final and we'd lost the game, we'd be raging about it, Gary.
No, yeah, but like I said, yes, we've had a lot of them go against us, right? But like I said, yeah. I don't like the VAR in the first place, right? It's not being implemented the right way as far as my eyes. So It doesn't really. It's not. In that instant, it's got to be called by the people on the field. If it has to go back to video, and then, like you said, how far do you go back? How many touches of the ball? How many players do you actually go? You know what? They benefited from that, really. You know.
There was the Leeds game yesterday. There was the first goal went that way as well. You know.
Yeah.
Well.
I wanted to say something. I saw a comment on there because we were talking about Leicester City, and when Leicester City won the league, I felt like the core players, we knew who they were, right? Yep. You know, the goalkeeper, Vardy, Conte, Maguire, Wes Morgan. You knew who their core were, and as long as they were on the field, right, you knew they had a chance, and they always showed it, right? And that's what I mean when I say, like, you know, who is Arsenal's core? We never, for the season, not from December onwards, but from the season. We didn't have one. Leno's the only player that played consistently throughout this entire season. Everybody else either came, you know, Saka was out there, but he was out there alone in some respects, you know, Tierney in and out of the lineup. But we just did not have a good core of players, you know. I still feel like we need to be able to know who our 11 is.
But Gary, don't you like kind of think that that's Arteta's fault as well? Because he's always playing with the center back pairings, so there's not enough consistency with that.
Yeah, he's always mixing up the central defenders.
Well, that's what I mean. We don't have players that have been playing together for, you know, 30 games this season.
So that's
like what pairing of players have played together for 30 games this season? Not barely any, right? It's always somebody else next to them, somebody else behind them, somebody else in front of them consistently, you know. So you can't build any. This is where you look at these other teams below us on the table and above us on the table, and you're like, you know what? We want that. That's what we want. We want something like that, looks like that when they're playing on the field. Guess what? A lot of times those people have been playing, you know, they've been playing for a lot longer than us, but they're playing like that now, right? You know, they know who's behind them, who's in front of them, and those players know how to.
They know each other's tendencies.
Yeah, exactly. So they can make. They know if I make this pass, he's going to make that run. I know he knows once I get that ball, I'm letting it go. So I'm gonna make that run as an offensive player, right? So you know that. So that's a rapport you build up with your teammates when you play enough and you play, you know, and you know I am a starter. Yeah, maybe I have a bad game, but I'm not coming out because of that one bad game. You know, and you can build on that. You know, we know Pepe needs to be out there, and we know he's improved from last season, so he should play. Saka or Middlesbrough should be out there playing. You know, Tierney healthy plays, Partey healthy plays. We know that. Like you said, the center back pairing. We've got two sets of pairings. You know, and one is dependent on one of our older senior players, which that's the problem. We need somebody in that, you know, in that 26 to 28-year-old range that's going to be able to bring along the Maries and the Salibas and stuff when they come in. We don't have that because they can't, you know, we don't have that senior. When I say senior, ladies, if I need ones that can play most of the season, right? We don't have that right now, and that's what we're missing.
That's right. As Ray said here, how can we have a consistent team when the core of the team is either injured, sick, or out of form? David Luiz has missed a lot of games. Pablo Ray has only played 10 league games. So we've pretty much relied on a Gabriel Holding, Gary, for most of the season. David Luiz has played 20 games. So it's been a bit spotty at the back.
Well, you say that, but then you've got like William playing like 20 out of the first 25 games of the season, and you're like, well, how in the world is he getting all that time when a Pepe can't, right? I mean, so for me, it's the utilization of the team that kind of hurt as well, right? Mm-hmm. I mean,
definitely we'll save a little time, Gary, to get into that in a little bit. So Leicester 1-0 up in the FA Cup, and Brendan Rodgers, you know, he's done a good job. He went up to Celtic, won a lot of trophies, and now he's been able to translate that to winning an FA Cup in the Premier League, which is a higher standard. So, Brendan Rodgers has proven himself to be a decent manager. The ownership for Leicester City have definitely shown themselves to be good for the club. And of course, what I liked about yesterday, Gary, and we'll have a little bit of laugh about their disallowed goal in a minute, Chelsea's disallowed goal. What I like about Leicester is that they are a well-run club, and they've been able to turn players over like a Chilwell, a Kante, a Mahrez, for a lot of money, and they've been able to find decent players. Fofana's come in, who was William Saliba's partner at Lille. So this is what a well-run club can do when done well. And actually, it was football for me winning over steroids, because Chelsea have pumped themselves up with funds and Leicester have done it the right way. So we like to see Liverpool doing something similar, and now Leicester against the Man Cities and the Chelseas of this world.
Yeah. Stability is a good thing, and they've shown that since they've made that run for the league title. So yeah, it's nice to see. It's not so nice that we're not able to be even close to that, because we're not being run the same way. But yeah, they're doing it the right way, and I think they're also able to identify what they need to fill it. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be with a player from the top of the table in the league that they're in, right? They're not going out, not always going out and getting the top players out there. It's just to fill a need. Arsenal
identify what you need in the team and go and get it, and get a decent player who's going to be hungry and want to play for the badge and better themselves as well.
Yep. We don't. That's the culture you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You have that culture, and they had that culture. They had that culture back, back many years ago, and some of those same players are still there. Maybe not all starting, but they're still there. There's the Vardys and the West Morgans are still there. It's not,
So it was also nice that they brought West Morgan on to get a medal as well. A good servant to the club. And this is something that Arsenal have done over the years as well through success. Recognize the veteran players and the leadership, because Wes Morgan, you would imagine, has brought a lot of leadership to that club as well. Mahir said here, so happy for Leicester. They deserve the FA Cup win. Alonso, definitely better to see Leicester winning than Chelsea. And what better way could we end the season by having Chelsea also lose the Champions League final?
Yeah, it's funny because I remember whenever Tuchel, took over for the club, there was like big talk, game from Dortmund and PSG, and they won some games, but they still haven't really gone with it. They had signed Horvitz and Warner, as well as Zidic, and they haven't done much with it, right? I mean, there's so much hype with that. And so it happens every year. You come from different leagues and you're not prepared or not ready to play differently like the Premier League. So they have struggled all year long. And with that, you're not very good in the first year, so you struggle. But seeing Chelsea lose to us and then lose the FA Cup again is kind of funny, and it puts them in their place. And knowing Chelsea, Tuchel will probably get fired at the end of the year, and they'll find someone else. And it's typical Chelsea because the owner can't stand a failure, and so we'll see what happens. But it'd be kind of funny if they also get fifth place in Europa League, which is kind of a far-fetched prediction. But
yeah, that's a little bit more far-fetched. They're 4 points ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool do have a game in hand, Alonso. But Chelsea have those 4 points ahead of Liverpool.
Yeah, so
2 games to go.
They had the weaknesses. I mean, you see it. Chilwell, I think is overrated. I think they have issues there, and So I think Giroud's getting older, and I think he's a punk. And anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's good to see Chelsea just lose, and yeah.
As Ray Anderson says here, I don't think the Leicester players have big egos. How many of the Arsenal players can we say that about? True. And Alonso Ray also said, it's strange. Most of us think Pepe has done well in the right side. Most of us didn't think Pepe has done well in the right side. But when he was moved to the left, Alonso, he actually played quite well. As Gary said a couple of minutes ago, why don't you give players who are playing well runs in the team? Pepe was performing well on the left side.
Because obviously Aubameyang. I mean, we paid this guy a lot of money to start, and Lacazette, you just hit the same thing about Lacazette because like Tony always mentions that he was benched a lot of the time when he was healthy, and he was quite successful scoring goals at the beginning of the year. Yeah, Arteta benches him, so there's something wrong with that, and I think that's why you bring on the sense of Arteta because he has his favorite players on there, and it kind of shows you how we want the kicks out, right? But yeah, Arteta has his favorite players, so there's
there's an Arteta click as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to address.
Yeah,
maybe a couple of those are going to leave in the summer.
Yeah, the thing that with that when you're talking about Aubameyang and Pepe on that left side having the same spot and having to choose between the two, what does Arteta want out of that left wing, right? Play on the left side. What does he want out of him? Does he want somebody like an Aubameyang who's going to just move forward and not necessarily come back and defend sometimes? Because I think that's some of the things that I noticed about Pepe that I liked about him this season is that he actually would come back. If he lost the ball, he would actually come back and put some pressure on it. Get the ball back, some pressure on the offensive side. On the opponents.
He started
Aubameyang didn't do wasn't doing that as much for me, and is more and I think the position has changed, and that's why he looked out of sorts there, right? He looked like it didn't fit in because I think they asked him to change what he needed out of the player. They weren't going to get catered to the players like they had in the past. I think everybody had to work. Everybody had to bring their own. They had to bring their own effort into the game and then get rewarded for it later on. But you all had to work, and I don't think he was working hard enough based on what Arteta wanted. I saw it from Pepe. Do I see it all the time? No, but I feel like I can get something out of nothing from Pepe. I don't think I can do that from Aubameyang. You get the ball to Pepe from distance, he can make something happen with it. Aubameyang from distance isn't going to do anything unless it's because he's making a big run, And that's the way I think it's more. We changed the way we played. Certain players fit in perfectly with it. Other players didn't, and that's where I think Aubameyang, wasn't going to work because he needed to be able to perform certain tasks. I mean, that's why Lacazette up top works better because of the way we want to play, right?
Yeah, and he includes the younger players. He brings the younger players and brings them into play a lot better. He knits the play much better together, Gary.
Yeah, and it does. He kind of whatever his role was, it was phased out this season, right? The way that he had played in the past and why he had scored so many goals. Arteta didn't want to go. Now I don't understand why you would want to do that when you've got a goal scorer like Aubameyang there. You usually cater to that player. If you're going to spend all that money on a player like that and then not cater to them, then you're wasting your money and your time and your effort. And Arsenal cannot afford to do that. So either you paid them for a reason, right? So then you should use them, right? If you're not going to use them, then what's the point? You're wasting your money and time, and that's what they did. They didn't put a team around him to support him. They know what he can and cannot do, what he can and he doesn't do well, and they couldn't take advantage of it. So then he suffered. I think it's more in the way the team was set up than it was that Aubameyang was just having a bad season. I think the team structure had changed. And what he wanted out of the players, what he was getting from the youngsters, right? And Middlesbrough Road gives him more on the left side than Aubameyang does, right? I mean, you see Martinelli up top. He puts more pressure on the back line. And that's actually what our Aubameyang was doing last season. He was putting – I mean, we don't win the Liverpool game and the Man City game without that front line putting pressure on the back line. I think Aubameyang was part of that. Lacazette was part of that at one of those games. I can't remember which one. But I think we were putting pressure on it. We don't do that much now. But that's kind of where I think we were. So yeah.
Aubameyang has been a passenger in a lot of games. Ray Anderson said here, Alonso, I heard that Xhaka wants to leave. Willian, Bellerin, and David Luiz. So I think David Luiz definitely has decided to move on. And you know what? He was ridiculed quite a bit, David Luiz, when he came to Arsenal. And there was definitely high points and very, very low points with David Luiz. I think his reputation preceded him a little bit. I didn't like him when he was a Chelsea player, but you know, his leadership qualities brought us to, I think, the FA Cup final, combining with a lot of other players. But there was comical moments, being sent off against Wolverhampton Wanderers when, rightly or wrongly, I think a lot of other players would have gotten away with that and have gotten away with similar incidents since then. So just a word quickly about David Luiz and what you think about him.
No, I don't want to take my time with this one. I'm joking. No, but David Luiz, I think that you're right. He did come with a reputation. He won at Chelsea and PSG even. And that was the United Emery move. I think that he wanted stability at the back, and I think he wanted a winner at the back. He wanted a good communicator. He wanted a captain type of player. But then there were some times in which he got sent off for dumb decisions that he knew better. And it kind of put him in a position where he was disliked by us supporters. But he also has some strengths within him as well. Like, he is Brazilian, so he kind of, I think, helped bring along Gabriel when Gabriel didn't know much English. So, there's also some good times with him. I think he communicated very well. He also joked with players. And I remember it was one game, I think afterwards, he put his arm around, I believe it was Reece Nelson, and it kind of shows you immaturity, or was it Joe Willock? It was one of the youngsters, and he had put his arm around him and talked to him about stuff that he needed to work on right after the game. And it kind of shows you that he is really good with the youngsters. And kind of from Chelsea, you would expect us to, I guess, some kind of hate him, I guess, a little bit, because he played for our arch rival. But there's something to be said about his actions off the pitch as well. And normally when you see a former Chelsea player play for Arsenal, you're like, oh crap, here we go again. It isn't Chelsea, and it's like the anti-Willian, where you dislike Willian because he doesn't work hard or what have you. But I think David Luiz put us all wrong in a way, and was really, really a catalyst for the FA Cup run we had, even in also in big games as well.
Yeah, Gary, as Stephen said, David Luiz has been good for the young defenders. So he's the type of player that could turn into a pretty decent coach, I think. And, decent player, maybe not one of the best players in the world, but he played to a high standard. And he has shown that he can put his arm around young players, and maybe his management side of things could be very strong when he does go into management.
Yeah, I think the thing about him is a lot of his negative plays are the reason why you kind of look bad at him. Like somebody said here, they kind of, they called him the Mustafi number 2, even though his negative plays usually are effort plays that go wrong, right? Whereas Mustafi he's just not good. He's puts himself in bad situations, bad situations, and then goes down to ground too easy, and all those types of things that just he doesn't get the red cards, but he gives up goals easily. You know, Luiz is usually trying to make it's more of an effort thing, and he's put himself in a bad situation. But like you said, most of the time, the defense has been solid when he's out there on the field, and he brings something that we just don't have. Right, we have a player in Luiz who's looking to move the ball up the field. Right. I mean, there's multiple times where I can't remember which game it was, where he was the only reason why we were getting the ball up to the front three is because of Luiz. I mean, he was making long passes over and over again. Then I think he got hurt, and then that basically went away. So you see when he's gone, you know the difference, and he also was helping Gabriel. And you can see Gabriel is willing to move the ball up the field, because that's for us right now. We don't have a midfield that's solid enough to. What happened there? You just
taking a break.
We don't have a midfield, at least for me now, that's consistent enough that we're able to move the ball up the field, right? So sometimes we just have to bypass them, and that's what he was allowing us to do. And that some of that kind of fits into what Aubameyang wants to do, but I don't think that's what Arteta wants. All right. So I think it kind of catch-22 there. But yeah, I think Luiz, we will miss him. I think we will miss him because we'll miss the leadership that the team definitely needs. And that's the one thing we're going to say over and over and over again. So we have it. We don't have the leadership. But now if Luiz is gone, we're going to lose the leadership there on the back line. Nobody will be able to command as much respect as he does right now on this team on the back line in the defense, right? So,
and as Russ said, his trophy cabinet speaks for himself, Gary. I mean, he has the medals behind him to command that respect.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing that we keep saying all the time, right? We keep saying we need leadership. We need to bring some leadership in, and Luiz is what it looks like. I think we once again maybe utilized him too much. Same thing with Willian. The leadership he was supposed to bring in and the way they used him was incorrect. So I think that's why Willian failed. He failed. I mean, it didn't work out the way they want. I don't think to me, felt like he, when he came on the pitch, he provided as much leadership to the front line as you expected him to, right? He was supposed to be able to maybe play in a 9, right, at some points to help us out, but that's like the last place we wanted him to be, right? They actually had to go out and actually, get Odegaard to come in to help out because we just did not have it. We didn't have a backup to Milsworth Rowe, so it failed for him. But I think we used him wrong. I mean, we used him wrong, and we spent a lot of money on him, which made it even worse because we spent all that money on him and he couldn't even do the job that we wanted him to do. So once again, we wasted our time and effort and money again. But we're definitely gonna miss Luiz's leadership. Like you said, it's not just on the field; it's back in the locker room, on the practice field probably as well. If you're gonna keep somebody, you should be keeping Luiz. But your contract situation is so screwed up that Willian is still on the books, right? Luiz is gone, but you need Luiz. Once again, Lacazette gives you more stability in as a striker. Doesn't give you the scoring, but gives you a little bit more, solidifies the front line. But he's got 1 year left. Aubameyang is here for another 2, and doesn't fit into your mold. So we've got these contracts and scenarios that just don't work together because they kind of hold back the team.
As Steven says here, Arteta treats certain players. Any other club would be playing Pepe and getting the goal returns that we need. We struggle for goals, but have goal scorers sat on the bench. Let's get through a few more comments here. And it is early in the morning. Alonso needs his coffee to get going here. Assemble or the excuse to convince them to re-sign Ray. He can make them better players, Ray. Apparently, his next trick is water to wine. Shout out to African Gunner for coming in as well. Spuds won 2-0. So we're going to look at that situation as well very soon. The league table, where we're at. Arteta should be playing to the players' strengths, not how he wants. When we have players who can't do it.
Yeah, he's got a blueprint for what every position is supposed to do and how it should work.
And they have to
But he only
conform
has
to that
about
blueprint.
about 4 or 5 players that can actually
Yeah.
play in those positions right now.
Yep.
And he, like you said, he's not willing to change
They're
things around to fit the players'
non-negotiables,
skills.
Gary. Non-negotiables.
Yeah, and that makes no sense when you don't have people that can give you what you want, right? Non-negotiables. I want you to be able to do what Luiz does and kick it long and be precise with it. Well, I can't do that, but that's what I want you to do. All right, so I'll kick it and I just go out of bounds, or it always goes to the other team. I mean, it makes no sense, right? It's just
makes
stupid,
no sense.
right?
So Leicester leading 1-0. It's 88 minutes in the cup final yesterday, and a long ball again from one of their central defenders into Chilwell, and there's a ricochet in the box. It goes in the goal, and as Alonso said, Gary, Giroud and Chilwell are sliding into the corner flag and celebrating. You gotta laugh as well, because when you see the replays, I'm thinking that looks like it might just be given offside there.
That is fun. That is fun to see.
This is what we've been reduced to. We're so bad that we are taking joy in the misfortune of other teams.
Yeah, we are definitely at that point, and and that's essentially what Arsenal has done to us. I would say it sounded like Arteta, but that's what Arsenal has done to us. They've lowered our standards of what we see and what we want to get out of our football team. That we have to look elsewhere for some joy.
Yeah,
but it's funny also how the Leicester fans were booing Chilwell every time he got the ball, and it was kind of funny because the very ending, how they celebrated that goal, and it was like the Simpsons character Wilson, like ha ha, it's like it was that kind of that funny, and it's like,
I like that. But Leicester, obviously, the lesser of two evils for us, and this is what we've been reduced to, hoping that the trophies that are being shared out are not going to evil empires in Chelsea and, dare I say it, City as well. We have a horrible decision to pick for the Champions League final. Hopefully, in my opinion, City being the lesser evil for me, they will go on and beat Chelsea in that final as well. And the cherry on top, Alonso, of course, would be if Chelsea drop out of the top 4 and don't even get Champions League. But that would be a bridge too far, a Stamford Bridge too far.
Oh my God!
Pun not intended, but I tripped over it there.
Yeah,
but,
So, it's always, like I said, like earlier, or I may have not said it, but it's always good to see our rival lose, and I think that Man City's gonna hammer them because they're just too good, It's like almost like you gotta ask yourself. I think that Kevin De Bruyne is just going to run over Conte, and they're just in a zone. They're just in a zone right now, and with that being said, I think that City's just gonna run wild on them. I think that it's going to be their match to lose, and so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As Steven said here, I believe, and I wanted Rafa before Arteta came in. Nobody could say when Arteta was hired that this was the coach that we wanted. Arsenal have clearly, you go for a player who's a prospect, Gary, but Arsenal have clearly gone for the coach and manager who are a prospect. And we're trying to build a club around our manager right now rather than building a team around a certain prospective player. I believe that a manager like Rafa could come in and get so much more from these players. We should have gotten Rafa before Arteta. He would have steadied the club and helped turn it around a lot. Yeah, we've had this conversation throughout the season, Gary. We're suffering because a manager who is a prospect and we're hoping he's going to get better I'm definitely hoping he's going to look at this in the summer and realize all of his man management issues, his substitution issues, and all the things he's done wrong. Because let's face it, he's been a year and a half in a job. I'm hoping he's going to mature and develop and look back and critique himself this season and actually be better when it comes to the start of next season.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with, like you said, it starts with the man in the mirror. He needs to look at himself, and he needs to tell us that he failed. He hasn't told us that. I don't feel he's told us enough that where we feel like, you know what, you're going to learn from that one.
Yeah, your
like
confidence wouldn't be high, Gary, right? That he's going to learn.
He's going to have to, sometimes you get it wrong, and you've seen managers come out and say, I got it wrong. And they took advantage of it, and they beat us. And I don't feel like he says it the right way. I don't know what the right way is, but I don't feel like he says it because it feels like he's making it all about all the other things that are going on and not about the things that he did, right? So I hope he learns. But I mean, like you said, this is not a training ground. Arsenal is not a training ground for managers. If that's the case, then Arsenal should still be the goalkeeper because you're gonna live with it, right? You don't do that for certain positions, for certain players, for whatever. Definitely for a manager, you don't want to go through and live through all of the ups and downs of them trying to figure things out. I mean, it also comes back to the entire system is broken. To help out Arteta, you need to get really good players to come in, so it makes it easy for his job. You can't do that. You need to have the money to go and get any players that you want. You don't have that. You need to have assistants to help out your manager to make sure that he doesn't slip up. You don't have that. You need to have leaders on the team that are going to help out the players when when things are going bad. We don't have that. Just like everything that you need to help out a young coach, manager, you just don't have it. Yeah. You're not going out to get it, right? You need to have better recruitment. You let it go for the sake of saving some money, which you weren't spending that much anyways. But you need to make sure that the players that you bring in are worthy of it. But you don't have the right man management process in place. So when you do bring them in, you don't know how to utilize them the best way. So all of these things that you need to make life easy for Arteta, you basically have handcuffed him and taken it away from him. And then we're supposed to sit there and wait for him to get better. He sat next to Pep for how many years? He didn't learn anything, as far as I'm concerned. If he did learn anything, I would have seen it. And I would have said, "Oh, that looks like something that a seasoned manager may have done, right?" And we don't see it enough on a regular basis to say that he learned anything there.
I think we will definitely have a lot to talk about this summer, and a lot of it will be negative, and some of it will be positive in terms of the young players that we do have. Ray Anderson said here, if Liverpool beat West Brom today, they will only be a point behind Chelsea. Chelsea have to play Leicester, and Leicester are probably going to have a drop-off now because they've won a cup. They'll be celebrating. I don't expect them. And, of course, they have to play Tottenham. Go figure at the end of the next Sunday. So that's going to be tough as well. I think we'll probably be doing a live watch-along podcast next Sunday as all the games will be played at the same time. If Liverpool beat West Brom, they'll only be a point behind Chelsea. Chelsea have Leicester in the next match. Problem is Chelsea had Villa in the last match, and Villa is not playing well. But let's get through a few comments, and then we're going to talk about the Daniel Alonso. Hang in there, buddy. It's like he's become arrogant, and even when he can't see it's not working, he'll keep forcing the same shit every week until it works, and he can say, I told you so. Stephen, we want to see the development of Arteta over this summer. Hopefully he becomes better. He should demand the improvement of himself that he demands from his players. And I think, as Gary said perfectly, the man in the mirror, you got to take a long, hard look at that guy. You know what I mean? If fans were back, Arteta and the players wouldn't have been allowed to go on like they have. True, I've resisted. Tony said that. Gary said that this season, and I've resisted that thought. My optimistic thinking of Arteta, but we'll see what. Like I always say, we'll see what happens because this is our Arsenal world, and we'll follow that, and we'll see how this team develops. We want the best for the club. All of the supporters want the best for the club. Alonso, news of Daniel X bid came through yesterday, and what did he bid? 1.8 billion, which I think is a little bit some way short of the valuation of the club that in the Cronkies' eyes.
Yeah, and so I mean, it kind of shows you that he's making an effort to want to buy the club, right? And I think that he shouldn't be taken lightly. I think he's for real. I think that he needs to do a little bit more to convince the Cronkies, even if they want to start a club, to bid more. And I think his mind is in the right place as far as wanting to buy Arsenal, and it's up to the Cronkies to budge or not, as they should, because we all know that Arsenal's a cash cow for them, unfortunately. And I think that if they had any sense of reasoning, they would start a club to someone who cares, someone who wants to invest into the club, and to someone who wants to get to know the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the reason why there's so much resentment towards them is they want them to break away, and they don't show up for big games. And honestly, I think that the Cronkies are for themselves, because you go in there and have a Zoom meeting with the fans and say that, look, we want to be here, we care about what the fans say, the supporters say, but at the end of the day, that's not the case, in my opinion. I think that they wanted to please the fans by doing these kind of things. But with Daniel Ek, he's different. He wants to show up for these games when they're allowed to do so, and he wants to buy the club. He cares, and I think that hopefully soon there'll be some kind of resolvement.
Yeah. No, hopefully. And Gary, as Steven said here, we need new owners, new manager, new season. We can only dream. In my opinion, the Assemble says Arteta seems to believe the Cronkies will fund a team overall. And Arteta has said that he believes the Cronkies will fund this summer's transfer, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I can't see it as this system and tactics are doomed to failure. If he is serious with this strategy, he isn't living in reality. Stephen goes on to say, how can the players be better when he drops the informed players? Chops and changes. He's a tinker man every other week, and I've had enough of Arteta now. On match day, we see the team selection. Everyone is like, yeah. And we're trying to figure out where he's going to play Saka, Gary, very much. They're fun for me. We'd like to try to figure out what formation. But I'd rather it not be so much fun, as you said, Gary, and that he would pick a settled team, that we wouldn't have to try to figure out what system he's playing today, what players he's playing, out of position. All of these things. He gives us headaches on pre-game podcasts.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, what is he emulating here? Did he learn this from Pep? That you can go in and you can switch around your players consistently? I mean, everybody talks about Ruben Diaz being one of the best transfers this season. Does he not play consistently when they need him? When they have a big game and they need points, does Ruben Diaz sit? Is he just rotated out for tactical purposes? He plays because he's the center back, right? I mean, yeah. That's why you got him for a reason, and two, it panned out, and then you use him. That's not what we do, all right? Gabriel is our best left center back. He should play, right? He should play. he shouldn't have to cater to other players not being able to play with him. They need to play with him because he's the better player, right? If Aubameyang is your better scorer, then you need to cater to the players around him to make sure he's one of the best scorers in the league, right? He didn't drop from 20 goals last season to where he is now. I think what did he hit 10 now or something like that? But
yeah, 10 goals. Yeah.
Some of that is on him. Some of that's on whatever, all these other excuses you can make. But also the structure is there. So yeah, I mean, I think
we're gonna get into it a little bit later. Our soft center does Arsenal have soft center? Are we a box of chocolates? We don't know what we're gonna get.
Yeah. No, one thing, one of my messages always has been right all season is I want little changes, and I think you were talking earlier. You were talking about those things, and we just never saw that, and that's why we're sitting where we are.
Yeah.
Right. The little changes, and that's the little changes I'm talking about are Arteta. You know, from game to game, he's supposed to improve a little bit. I don't know if we feel like he's done that. He's got certain things that he's done well, but he hasn't built on them to where we're like, all right, he's perfected that skill set, right? There's other things he just hasn't done well at all, consistently over and over again. So,
Gary, as Alonso started off the conversation on Daniel Ek, do you think, what's your reading of the situation? Do you think that Ek has put in an opening bid and he will come back? It's my opinion, I think that he's pretty much put the opening bid in. The Cronkies have said, thank you very much, but we have enough money. We don't need your money. And Daniel Ek is now going to wait until they come back to him or the situation changes drastically.
Yeah, the message that came out of that to me was a little strange and definitely didn't fill me with any kind of positivity that this is going to end with them Cronkies going, no, we're not selling, blah, 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 we're going to do whatever. So I feel like doesn't seem like it's going to work. I mean, what is the message that we don't need the money? How is that a response to somebody trying to buy your team? You know, what was the message that Ek brought to them, or is that message just something that came out of nowhere that they don't need the money? What was being sold there? I mean, and also if you put that, yeah.
That's a great comment there. The Cronky said, "F Ek off."
Yeah, well, that's for me. If you come with a $1.8 billion bid, then basically you're wasting my time. So yeah, you probably do get the finger. I don't. You know what? If you're gonna, this isn't. We keep saying this is the Arsenal. Is it 1.8 is like that's like the sticker price or something like that. Or whatever.
Yeah, and what is it valued at? Is it valued at 2.8? I think
it's like 2 point some. Definitely 2.
It was low. I think the opening bid was low. Maybe is that a bid to test the waters, Gary?
I think so.
Well, it could be an insult, though.
Yeah.
Right. It could be an insult, right?
Well, you
really want this team, so you're gonna start there. This is I'm not even talking to you. Get away from me. I don't. When you think about it, if it's that big of a deal, and you really want to close it quickly, then you do it. I mean, I saw a tweet where they were kind of going through Twitter history, and he doesn't follow any players, doesn't follow Arsenal. So what kind of fan is he on Twitter? He doesn't follow any of those. Yeah. And he's made I think they can count the number of times he's mentioned Arsenal in his tweets. I don't know. That shouldn't be the way that you figure out whether where your fandom is. But
I agree with you. It should be a little bit of a flavor of where he's coming from.
Yeah, but if you're going to then post what you want about, if you want to buy the team on Twitter, then you're saying that I do use Twitter enough that I know if I want to get my message across, this is an easy way to do it. And he didn't do that. So obviously, it was always about Spotify. It was never about Arsenal, as far as I'm concerned.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, and also, until the situation changes? Well, when does the situation change for a billionaire? They need more money. You know, when does it change? I mean,
situation. I think that is a nod towards maybe the supporters making life a little bit more difficult, making things more difficult for the sponsors. We have a lot of different sponsors. Uh, Arsenal have a lot of different
our
sponsors.
sponsors don't care about Arsenal. They care about
And money.
their marketing and their
Yep.
PR. I mean, they're going to go after El Neni for the comments he made, which is another thing, right?
Yep.
And a lot of people are saying, is this Ozil 2.0 again? They're going after the player when the message is about, you know, the people that are losing their lives and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, what are we saying here? You know, supposedly we're the Arsenal, we do things the right way. But now the team should have come out and said, we back our player, step off, you know, here's the finger to you, you know, we don't have time to be wasting with that stuff.
Yeah.
Did he say something wrong? No. Does he have a reason to say it? I think he does. Right. So, you know what?
Yeah, no, exactly. Stephen said the opening bid, if it was 1.8, isn't even good enough to open the door for future talks. It's so low. He should have went with an offer that makes the Cronkies sit up and take notice. Our only hope, Stephen, is that they come back with he comes back with an improved offer. Hopefully the wording of the release was worded incorrectly, or the intent didn't come through correctly, and he actually thinks differently than the release came out. But it looks pretty simple to me. He's going to wait now for another few months, and hopefully issues become more and more difficult for the Cronkies. The assembled question: do you believe Arteta's the right man to spend on the right man to spend on overall of this squad? I mean, ideally, I would probably say no, but the situation is that he's going to get that money. He's going to get a certain amount of money to spend this summer, and that's it. As supporters, we will have a voice, but the club doesn't always listen to our voice.
Yeah,
Alonso, I'll come back to you then, Gary. Alonso, Cronkies have always said they're custodians of the club. Do you think their custodianship has been good so far?
No. It has been good enough. And you know, for them to say that shows that they're in denial about how much our fan base dislikes them. You could say, well, they spent money, but they haven't used the people who are in charge of Arsenal haven't used it correctly, and so they could say that, well, we're putting money in the club, but will they spend it wisely? Will they go out and get players that would fit Arteta's whatever it is formation
Vision? Yeah.
So you know. They haven't even shown up for games, big games at that. So, no, they're not custodians of the club at all. And why they say that, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could even go as far as asking people at St. Louis that question as well, because the Cronkies promised, you know, people at St. Louis that they'll keep the Rams in St. Louis, and they moved them to LA. So that kind of shows you something right there, right? So, the custodians of the club is rubbish to me.
Yeah, exactly. As Gunnet, I did see your rant about the Villarreal second leg. Quite interesting. I think it was about 17 minutes. I know where you stand. I knew where you stood. I know where you stand right now. The assemble. Sorry, I'm working, so in and out of the topics. You know, it's just great to have everyone here, everyone connected. There's not an Arsenal game this weekend, but maybe it's a good thing as well, Gary. You know, Gary, do you have anything else to add to the Daniel X Spotify Cronky situation?
I think it's, like I said, I think it's he wasn't really he really wasn't into this. He wasn't really.
Do you think that's it? Do you think he's done now?
Well, I think the way that message went out. I mean, he only responded when people were saying he hadn't ever submitted the bid. So everything's reactionary, and that's the same thing we're getting from the team.
Quite
right?
Arsenal, yeah.
Right. We're saying we just react to everything that happens to us, and then we do something about it after the fact, as opposed to enforce our will on the situation and get something out of it. So he did the exact same thing. So, he doesn't have the money to really put in a decent bid. So that's why he started low. Can he double that? I think, you start with your bid. Is it possible for you to double that? I don't think so, unless he gets some help, So, yeah, I think so I think it was a good publicity stunt. He got what he wanted, right? Spotify pushed out a message the day after he put out his about Arsenal. They increased their rates and all that stuff, and I think the stock went up. The stock took a hit, and he's probably happy about where he stands right now. So I don't.
And to your earlier point about him being on Twitter and not expressing himself as a fan as much, people have said he's a millionaire. He's not really going to be on Twitter a lot. He's invested in making himself money, and that kind of lends to your argument as well, that he's all about increasing his own profile. I just hope that Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Patrick Vieira have not been used as part of a publicity pitch to raise his profile only. Gun the News says, we wasted 350 on dead players and old age retirees. Gunnar Len's in the house. Thanks for joining, Gunnar. Glenn, I just watched the Arsenal ladies game. Good to watch an Arsenal team, Gary, that have tactics that work and get results as well.
Yeah, I mean, the good and sad part about that is, they are a good, solid team, but the sad part is, right there, the manager's leaving, right? So now they got to have to rebuild again. Will they get what they need, right, from Arsenal? Yeah. Will they get what they need in terms of a manager to come in and kind of keep what they've had going on, right? I mean, I don't trust this team, so we'll see what they do with the appointment coming up. I think somebody said something like the United women's coach, that she might be somebody they could pick up, and
it's definitely refreshing that the ladies' game is moving forward. The Arsenal ladies' game is giving us what the senior team is not giving us right now.
Yeah.
Alonso. Players, so Arteta's talked about being ruthless this summer, and whether it's our situation in Europe or whatever is going to develop there in terms of where we ultimately finish, players maybe will leave this summer, or hopefully they will be pushed out. So are we going to be ruthless, or are we going to be toothless?
Toothless. I mean, think about the words, right, Arteta's said throughout the campaign, and it's almost like he says the same thing over and over again, right?
That's the United
Casey
manager,
Stoney.
Right? I think think about it. They're going out, and if they get Casey Stoney, they're the team that they just bumped out of the last Champions League spot. Well, that's ruthless, right? If you're able to do that, you know what? You're trying to get Champions League. We're trying to get Champions League. We got it. You didn't. But you know what? We're going to take your manager as well. That's ruthless. If we're able to, talk about ruthless, that would be ruthless right there. Right?
Wait, Gary. So we got So the women's Arsenal team got Manchester United's old coach.
That's the candidate.
Rumors we're going to get him.
Rumors that we could pick. Yeah.
So I don't think Arteta can be ruthless, because he says the same thing over and over again. When we lose a game, he'll say, "Well, we're almost there. We should have won. We could have won, but we didn't." Right? It happens all the time. So how is a fan like us supposed to think that he's ruthless? I think that oftentimes he makes excuses. And a person who makes excuses isn't ruthless. He's toothless. to me.
Yeah, the message is always consistent, but nothing. There's not any repercussions. I've thought about this before, Alonso. The cycle is you have non-negotiables, and if a player goes outside of the non-negotiables, there should be repercussions.
Right.
But there's no repercussions because the same players keep coming back in to the same side, and they're not dropped out of the side for the right reasons. They're dropped out of the side because they're developing some form, apparently.
Well, he's ruthless to the youth, right? You've seen him being ruthless to the youth. They don't get too much rope to hang themselves. He basically just says, you're out. I mean, Guendouzi is a talent that we need, and we can't just let go out the door. And you know what? He got punished too many times, so he was let go. Aubameyang has been consistently seen, doing the wrong thing over and over again, and nothing. Yes, there's a lot he's done for the team, but also we're talking about the future of the team. So, you know what? We're not a team that's so deep that we can just let talent go out the door and play for somebody else and maybe grow there. So there's got to be a little bit of a give and take in that situation.
Yeah.
And we just didn't do it, and we just we're letting players go out, and then maybe they come back.
Let me bring Mahir in at this point. Anything to add to what we're talking about or what we have talked about all the way up to this point, Mahir?
Okay.
Or what do you want to add?
Firstly, I want to big up my panel. And guys, I know I've been away for a while.
Technical issues. Even if we have technical issues, we're still here. We still bring it every week, okay?
Come on, my guys, our subscribers. Love to you all, man. Love to you all.
And you know what, Mahir? I want to tell you, love the energy you bring as well. So big up everyone on the panel. Everyone brings something to the channel.
You know what? Guys, I've been away. Yes, I haven't watched like the Chelsea game. I totally ignored. The next two games I'll totally ignore. But the energy that I'm bringing is basically, after going on that rant that you guys are welcome to go and watch if you haven't seen it already.
Check it out on Gundam News, YouTube.
I was just totally pissed off, man. Like, there was no words to put in. That's why I had to put it in 15 long minutes of just ranting. The night before that, on the night, oh my days. But anyway, let's big up everybody here. Let's big up our subscribers and big up Leicester as well for beating Chelsea. I mean, beautiful. Tielemans. There's an example, Gary Alonso, of a midfielder that is quality. I'd have Tielemans over any of our midfield except for Partey now with his bad form. But I know Partey's going to come right eventually. And then so toothless, I would say hopefully ruthless and not toothless, because I'm going to bring you guys a little bit of news. Yes, we've offered Laka an extra year. Please just go, Laka. I mean, we loved you, but you're not right now is what we need.
We could certainly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, dude, we need some top quality striking options available, like putting the ball in the back of the net, like we discussed every week. Dude, Xhaka being offered, Xhaka wants to go. So, bye-bye. Next flight, wherever, don't care. Bye-bye. Not good enough. Never been good enough. Never rated you. We should have gotten N'Golo Kante instead of you. I don't know why we didn't do that. Bunch of dum-dums. Anyway. And then everything nice and short. Daniel Ek, look, with an increase to the bid, maybe we might be able to get it at about 2 billion. Maybe, I hope. But if it is...
What was your reading on that, Mahir? Was your reading that he's going to come back when things are more favorable for him? Do you think he was just trying to raise his own profile? Do you think he's really, really committed to doing this?
I think he seems to be a genuine Arsenal supporter, but we are yet to see that, like eventually
show us. Yes, we want to see it.
Yes, we want to see eventually when it does happen. I have a feeling it's going to happen at some point, but we want to see somebody that comes in as an owner and takes hold of the entire club and says, look, I really, really love this club, and get the people in positions, the Vinais and the Edus and all the yes men and Arteta the clown, please, by all means, walk off back to wherever the hell you came from.
I'm not there yet on the Arteta the clown. I think he
Oh,
could.
please, what? What?
I'm not there
Ray?
yet.
Alfonso, you guys hearing this guy above me? How you still Arteta in, bro?
I'm hanging in there. I think Stan said he's 90 out and 10 in. He's hanging by a thread. I know Stan has said that, so
Okay,
I'm thinking the same way.
You know what? The 10% in isn't because of Arteta. You know that, right? It's for
Because
everything
it's
else
young.
around him, right? A new owner, a new board, a new director of football, a whole new set of players. I mean, all of that is the 10%, which is a big F, right? They're all big
Even more
ifs.
than that, Gary. I think it's the young players. The young players have me invested 10%.
No, but you know what? Those young players are good.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if it's Arteta. He's not building around them anyways, right? He's making them suffer.
We got
right?
Gabriel, we got Partey.
Yeah, he's making them
Partey's
suffer. Gabriel, Martinelli is not even playing sometimes. He should be playing. He's playing in games that don't matter, and the games that do matter, he's sitting. Why?
Yeah. We've been watching it since November, Gary. We've been watching it since the Europa group stages when those young players have been stepping forward. Joe Willock was scoring goals in Europe, and he's probably in a good place right now with Newcastle. Hopefully, he's doing bits, and hopefully he comes back to Arsenal and can step forward.
Why does he
again.
have to leave to get better?
No,
why
you
did
know
he
what?
have to leave to get better? What are
It's a
they?
valid
What are they?
question.
What are they doing? What are they doing?
It's the coach and the backroom staff and the training staff and all of that. It's all of them that are actually ruining not only young players, right, like Martinelli, but have you guys noticed Ober dropped massively off form, Laka dropped massively off form. Who's the other one I was thinking of? Players like even Partey is looking absolutely dirt poor right now.
William.
Simply because man management.
You just said William, like he had more than enough chances to play better.
I was just trying to feed some red meat to the lions.
You don't. That meat is stale and nasty. I don't want it.
No, I was just trying to feed.
This is when the lion looks at it and then throws it back at you. Like, no.
I was just trying to fuel the rant here that Mahir is getting on. I like to fuel the fires. That's what a good host does. He stokes the fire, pokes the fire.
Making sure it's alive for the next 4 hours.
Mahir, Gunnar Glenn said Lacazette would probably leave us when we're officially out of Europe. I mean, we do need to cash in on money. In these next windows, we've all seen the money go out the door and we're not getting money back. Unfortunately, Lacazette has been good for us this season. Tony will tell us that. But we need to start getting some cash for these players. Lacazette is wrong side of 30. As Warren said here, Leicester, well run, proper professionals. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Leicester is everything right. We are doing everything wrong. Both teams have won the FA Cup in the last 2 years. Which club is better? There's a real question. Is there a question mark over it? I mean, Leicester are right now in the ascendancy over us. Gary, a team like Leicester who's run properly has taken. Is it our place in the top four? Not right now, but have they taken our place in the top four?
I don't. I'm gonna say I'm more focused on us just trying to get better because you can't even be thinking about places nowadays. Like I said, I like to see little changes from game to game, from season to season, and we took a big step back, right?
Yeah.
We won an FA Cup. We
sacrificed the FA Cup this year, Gary.
For what reason?
I'm not happy about it.
And I say this all the time. We're not a team that can just sacrifice games for any reason. We need to come out and play every game. We cannot. Why do you have the blue? Mahir, I think you lost it. You've got the blue light on. You've got the blue light on. I see blue.
No.
That's the
This is the
sunset.
wrong TV that's going off. Hold
That's
on.
You're scaring me with that lighting behind you.
As
I'm like,
Sorry,
as
guys.
Sam
Sorry,
said
guys.
here, Ray has Stockholm syndrome. That is possibly true. I do
yeah,
have Stockholm syndrome.
Ray, blink if they're feeding you okay. Okay.
We're good. So Alonso, what are we gonna do? I guess the players are gonna. Which players want to leave? Granit Xhaka, Willian,
You know
Hector
what?
Bellerin.
Whoever wants to leave, bye.
Bellerin.
We don't have time for that. Bye.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Alonso, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Bellerin needs to go. I think that his best times are way ahead of him. It's really a shame how his career just died, and it's a shame how it went that way. Xhaka, was never good enough for Arsenal. I think he was reckless most of the time. There was some positives like in the past 2 years, but that was rare. I think when Emery made him captain, I think he was just set up to fail as a captain at Arsenal. I think Willian was a disaster from the get-go, and Luiz was respectable, and Leno now wants out. So, at times he was very unfocused, and having a back four like he didn't help his cause either. So, it is what it is. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Gary. Like we've always been saying in the last few weeks, maybe even longer than that, we can count the players we want to keep at the club on probably two hands, maybe just one hand, maybe six, half a dozen players we want to keep, maybe eight, but no more than that. Am I here?
Yep. Bye-bye, Bellerin. Bye-bye, Rob Holding. Who else? Bye, William. Luiz, thank you. Bye, safe. It hasn't been good. Yeah, I'm murdering all of our souls. All of the Arsenal fans' souls. I'm putting it in the furnace because right now our club is shocking.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
think player.
if you look at it, I made a list. I took a list of all the players on the team, and the only ones that are staying, definitely that I wanted to stay, Saka, Tierney, Gabriel, Partey, Milsrifro, Martinelli. That's it. Those are the six that you talked about. Those are the six players. That's the core right now. It's actually a core for the future, which is the problem, right? Tierney and Partey, the only players that are like for now, right? These are the players we should be building around for now because those are the ones that should be getting us. For example, we want to get top four. They should be the latest to get us there.
Hey,
right?
Gary, do you have Murray on that list too?
No,
I've got him.
I don't have him on my list of like he definitely stays.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are going to be squad players that come out of the list that aren't on the stay, right? But I want starters, and five of those, at least five or those six players could be starters for us next season.
So
right?
So I'm okay with Rob Holding and Chambers as squad players.
We can't have both.
Well, squad players then.
One of them has to go. I'm thinking Holding.
Why just sign a new contract?
I don't care.
You can sign a new contract to protect the sell-on
Arsenal does it
value.
wrong anyways. They should have never given him the contract in the first place. One, because they don't know how to manage their players' contracts anyways, right? They said that they bought it because they want to protect his value, but then for what reason? They're planning to resell him? No, they're not planning to do that. They can't. They don't know how to do that. That's been the problem, is that the transfer business has been so poor. Well, we need players to just go sometimes because we can't afford to keep them.
Okay, Gary,
right?
let me answer something, Gary. So would you rather? Okay, so So Mavropanos, right? Would you rather bring him on?
Bring him in? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't
Same
know.
here.
I
You
think
know what?
we
We've
need
got.
to.
You know, when you've got a Saliba and you've got a Gabriel, I don't know if Mavropanos is going to fit in. That's where I that's kind of where I feel like, you know what, Mavropanos, maybe do we need to bring him in? Maybe not.
Yeah.
You know, because I think you're going to have too much youth on that back line.
As
Right?
Warren said here, funny how lone players are away from us are doing
Yeah.
well.
I mean, like I said, what part of this team is positive right now besides Saka and Emil Rowe? Those are like the two big positives we
Yeah.
got on our team right now.
Tierney. Yeah,
And
And we
Yeah,
can't
throw
keep
your
that.
hat on.
Well, you know what? And the only reason, and yeah, those are the two right now. Partey healthy, Tierney healthy. Gabriel Gabriel needs a mentor, right now, right? So that's kind of, you know, they all need something. Saka and Milford Rowe to me are doing it well right now in terms of what they have.
See, this is why I don't like Arteta, because we have abundance of youth that want to come on and play for Arsenal. I mean, look at Balogun, look at Aziz, Martinelli even. So they got to play. There's got to be a manager out there that can work with the youth and don't be afraid to bring them on, you know. Otherwise, they become useless and they become reserve players, you know. I mean, at what point does Arteta realize that we have talented youth players and they're just going to waste away, you know? It doesn't make sense to me why he doesn't take that risk more often.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, we got a couple more topics here. We're going to go through Europe Watch and see where we could possibly finish it all. Of course, it's all up in the air because we don't even know if Arsenal can beat Crystal Palace away from home or even at home beat Brighton. Those are the last two games. I'll start with you, Mayer, since you're shaking your head. Look at this. Everton have got one extra game. So Everton have to play 3 games. Yeah, these are the teams that are above us right now on the table. And Everton have to play Sheffield United today at home. So we're Sheffield United fans today at 2 o'clock in about 2 hours from now, 7 p.m. UK time. We're all shaking our heads because we've dropped points, numerous points throughout the season in our own campaign. Mahir, Everton have Sheffield United at home, Wolves at home, and Manchester City away next Sunday.
Okay,
We need them to only gather maybe 4 or 5 points. So a win and 1 draw or a win and 2 draws could suit us if we win our last 2 games. We'll finish above Everton on goal difference, maybe.
On goal difference. Really, is this what it's come down to, right? On goal difference.
We are what they call it.
Oh
We
my
are
God,
reaching
we're in
for
the mud.
straws right here. We're trying to find any little bit of. We're hanging on by a thread, right?
It's the 10%.
Afrikaans thing that they say, it's called spek and boonchies. It means I don't know what spek is, but spek is I suppose something small like a stick, and boonchies is beans, but it means like basically playing for nothing. So spek and boonchies for what are we? I don't know. Gary, Alonso guys, we are in the mud. Ray is having to say.
We have to depend on other teams to lose so that we can get what we want.
Yeah.
But then we also have to win. So it's and that's a lot of pressure for our team that they have to win. You know,
Can we handle that pressure, Gary?
so you know what? We're gonna get. I always like to say we're gonna get a surprise because Arteta likes to surprise us, and I think he's gonna surprise us again. I think he's gonna. You know, he's gonna surprise us. It looks like Liverpool's losing right now, so
Wow.
West Brom's gonna. I don't know. It wasn't Gibbs.
Oh.
All right. So Mahir, I need your constructive panel input here,
Okay.
Mahir.
Oh,
Focus.
jeez.
Focus. Everton play Sheffield United today at home. They play Wolves at home midweek, and they finish away to City. Will they get Will they get more than 5 points?
No. That's of
Will
no
they lose
bias.
to City? Last game of the season, will they lose to City next weekend?
City's going to be at home. Do you think they want to end the season with a loss?
No.
City already champion. City go.
Yeah,
and
but they want to. They're probably going to do the trophy ceremony and stuff right after the match and stuff. The last thing they want to do that on a loss. There is no way they're losing that game.
Right.
No way they're losing that game.
And
We'll
Wolves
put them down for no points against City next weekend. Alonso, Everton versus Wolves midweek. They're at home. And Everton are on the slide. They have only, I think, one or two games, and one of them was against us in their last 10. They beat West Ham, they beat us, but they've been on the slide recently.
So, it's weird because, Everton have talented players.
Yeah.
However, I don't know what happened with the disconnect there at Everton with Ancelotti. However, they've been known to lose some games recently, and it doesn't seem to want to go their way. So I think Wolves are going to be better than today. I think that Everton are to Wolves level a little bit, and of course, Man City are just too talented of a team. And who knows, Sheffield United are wrongdoers now, so they're going to get relegated. So I think that they're playing for pride now. So until then, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and really it comes down to today's result. In about 2.5 hours, I'll be watching it. If Everton manage to get a win, they'll be heavy favourites to finish above us, of course, if they win today. Well, the real match will be midweek, Gary, against Wolverhampton Wanderers at home. They're likely to win today against Sheffield United, but a draw will suit us at midweek.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing also is, like you said, if Jimenez gets a chance to gets a good report, medical report, that might give the Wolves a little bit of a little jolt there.
They shouldn't risk him though. At the end, there's two or three games left for them in the season. Should they risk him?
If he can come back and play, then why not? What's he out for?
Yeah.
What is he out for? Is it still his head or is it his legs or something?
I thought he was out because of the concussion that he had, the injury he had with David Luiz, and he's been out for a large part of the season.
Well, like I said, on the show, it looked like they were talking about him just needed to get whatever sign off from the doctors and whatnot. So if they're at that point and they're talking and it's out there, it's public, and it sounds like he's close to playing if he's allowed.
And
you know what?
See, a Portugal international, he could maybe want to play in the Euros as well.
Yeah. You know what? I think you might be right about that. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of these players, you know what? Yeah, maybe you know what? Yeah.
Hey, Ray, Jimenez is Mexican, man.
He's Mexican. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, I'm the host. I just try to keep the conversation flowing here. Gunnar Glenn said, "Listen, Glenn, we're going through all the permutations, but of course, we need to beat Palace for all of this to come through for us. And of course, we could draw or lose at Selhurst Park, as Tony likes to call it. Okay, so listen, the key today is probably Everton will beat Sheffield United and we'll lose to City. We need them to draw to Wolves midweek. So there's a lot of numbers going to need to be crunched as well. Mahir, 2 more games for the Spuds and the Hammers. Let's take the Hammers. They're cycling backwards. I used to have a bicycle you could back pedal. You know what I mean? You go backwards on. It wasn't a slip chain. Hammers are doing that. They're going backwards, but they should get there because they're playing West Brom away and Southampton at home. 2 games they should win.
Should be able to. Definitely the first one, West Brom. Second one against Southampton. A little bit more tricky. But I wouldn't put it past them to actually go on and take 2 wins from 2.
Yeah. And listen, Glenn's asking the question here: do we really want to be in the Europa and Mickey Mouse Conference Cup? Right, Glenn. This is my answer to this. I don't have any faith in Arteta. If we're out of Europe, he's going to have to cull some of the squad. He's going to have to cut the squad down to suit us not playing in Europe. Those extra games will mean 2 or 3 players will have to leave. I don't trust Arteta to cull senior players. I think he will cull some of our younger players. I don't want the Joe Willock to be sold.
I saw 3 players. I saw 3 players for 1 player. For what is that? Kamavinga, ne? Kamavinga. If we
I don't think that's a player like that would even look at Arsenal.
No, but that's what I'm saying. These are the dumb decisions that the guys behind the scenes do. They want to sell Burnley, Bellerin, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles and buy Kamavinga. So I'm just stating rumors, guys. Like, I don't even want to state how.
And the thing, Matt, here is we're still living. This weekend has been the anniversary. 17 years ago, the Invincibles happened, right?
Yep.
We won the league, Shide Hard Lane, with the Invincibles. But we're living off of that. We have kids now. We have players who are seasoned professionals right now, and they grew up on Henry and Bergkamp, and that's what Arsenal we're selling our heritage to try and get these players because they supported us as young kids. But that's going to go away very soon if we're really bad continuing. You know what I mean? Gary, West Brom away and Southampton at home. They should have enough, and they deserve to be in Europe the season that they've had. And David Moyes has done a great job with West Ham.
Yeah. I mean, all those teams have done what they needed to do, and that's our problem. We haven't done what we needed to do, so we have to hope that they fail. And I don't like that at all. I mean, my upset pick today was the Wolves, and they lost 2-0. So, so much for that. We just have to go and that's why these games really matter. Oh, you had to put that up there, didn't you? Yeah. And to everybody, we all think,
time.
Yeah, Ray's catching up to me. I think I had like an 18-point lead or a 15-point lead a couple of weeks ago. It's all dwindling down. So
you might just get over the line, though, Gary.
Yeah, I might have enough points. We'll see. But yeah, no, I forgot what we were talking about just there.
I threw you off there.
Yeah. No, I mean,
West Ham deserve to be in Europe.
Yes. Yeah, they do. They do. They played really good this season, and they deserve what they've got. I mean, if we played anywhere close to what they played, it wouldn't even be a question of where we sit on the table. Mm-hmm. Their players were playing basically their hearts out, essentially out there doing whatever they have to do to get a win, and we just weren't doing that. So
Alonso, West Ham, they were thinking about Champions League, but that would be great for them to be in Champions League, but they would not survive in that competition. They're probably going to be a little bit better suited to the Europa League, and good luck to them. We talked to Charlie at the beginning of the season. As Arsenal fans, we feel entitled. We actually thought that we would have the season that West Ham are having now, and West Ham would struggle to be in the bottom half of the table. Well, little did we know the script was a little bit flipped on us this season. We're the ones who struggled all season, and West Ham have really played well.
Yeah, and you could put some of that on coaching because Arteta used to play for different ways, and so I think that as I said before, I think David Moyes, when he took over for Man U, that job was just too big for him, and he was always used to coaching mid-table teams with Everton. So it's kind of good for him to have that second chance as a coach coaching with West Ham, because in the past they've too been a mid-table team, maybe in the lower half. So it's always good to see a team like that do well in the Premier League, who's always up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think they got just Lingard on loan, and I think that's what's changed that team around. Even though we hate him, he's still a good player for Man United, for West Ham, right? So
Alonso, it's another example of a player just coming and finding himself in a good environment. We see Willock doing that at Newcastle. Hopefully, he's going to find his feet at Arsenal. But we saw Lingard coming to West Ham and hitting the ground running. He scored something like 8 goals for them since January.
And also, they signed some good players as well, like
Kufal,
and Suchek, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a team there, and I think David Moyes has to take a lot of credit for that because he's developed them into a solid.
Solid unit. Listen, and they have their own Mustafi as well in Craig Dawson. He does the most Mustafi type things as well. But for the most part, they've been a pretty decent team, coached really well, and they've stepped forward. West Ham fans will tell you that they can't really seem to put 2 good seasons together. So next season's really going to stretch them. Gary, as Warren said, we're going to sign a 30-year-old left back from Southampton in Ryan Bertrand. I'm not against that because he is the type of player you want as cover for Tierney, and Tierney only played 24 league games so far this season.
Yeah, that's what we need. Somebody that can come in that actually can do the job, and we don't have to depend on them to play out the whole season. So yeah, the trick once again is whether or not we're going to be taken to the cleaners, right? Do they, do they see us coming?
Free doesn't mean for nothing, right?
Yeah, well, Arsenal has proven that just because it's free means we're going to spend top dollar for you, and it's like no.
Yeah.
You should, give it. It should be incentives in there or whatever you can and make it worth his while to come in and maybe try to get playing time and whatnot. But we definitely need a left back. If he's there and he's available and they can make it work, then they should. But it can't be another Willian deal, right? I think that's the issue. Everybody's thinking he wants 2 or 3 year contract, and it's like, well, no, you're not in your career. You're maybe a 1 year contract with a bonus year, maybe coming in if you do well, kind of thing. And you're gonna get to play. You get to play with a decent team, so why not? I just look at that last comment there. Lingard coming in January and doing what he's doing, and Willock doing what he's doing. I'm like, what would have Lingard done for us if he came in and played the same way?
Who knows? It's
a younger striker
right?
coming in, right? Essentially, or right, a young striker coming in, playing with like a Middlesbrough Rowe, Partey, Erdiger, Pepe, kind of right behind him. What would that look like? Because that's kind of what you're looking for, right? That's what we're looking for. We say Lacazette's too old. Aubameyang's, I assume, is mentally and physically just not there with us this year. You got Lingard, who's trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
Right. Is he going to go back to United? Or are they going to try to get some money out of him?
He won't. Yeah, they'll probably sign him now. West Ham will probably be motivated to sign him with European football. I'm looking through my Twitter timeline, and Gunnar Glenn actually said Wolves on their holidays already. Disgraceful performance, which Everton have to play Wolves in midweek, and we need.
Well, no, yeah. So I was looking at the report here, and on May 18th, he's supposed to get or maybe the all clear to play.
Who?
So,
Jimenez.
Jimenez, yeah.
Okay. So listen, I think we determined we're not going to jump above the West Ham, Alonso, but we do have a possibility maybe of jumping above Everton, and that will get us right now. If we jump over Everton, it will get us into 8th place. The real question then, Alonso, is Tottenham. Are we going to get above Tottenham? And right now they're on 59 points. We can't allow them to get more than 2 points in the next 2 games. And they play Villa at home Villa were beaten today. Hopefully, there's a reaction from Villa midweek to go to Tottenham and get a result there. And then they finish with Leicester away from home. Leicester will be playing at home. And if fans are back in the stadium, the teams will be motivated to win for their fans in the last home game of the season. How do you see, let's say we jump Everton, we're in the 8th spot. Do we get that 7th spot above Tottenham? We can't allow them more than 2 points because we have to win our last 2 games to get to 61 points.
I think we will jump Spurs because if you know their history, you know that bottle.
Yeah, I'm not as optimistic as you. I think Tottenham will get the 3 points that they need from these last 2 games to cement 7th place for them. And I judging by Gary, I think he maybe agrees with me as well.
But
It's a little bit
it'd be
step too far, Alonso.
But it'd be typical Spurs.
Well, you know what? It won't matter because we need to get 6 points. That's that right there. That's where the equation starts. We have
Crystal
to get
Palace
6
away.
So what is your chances that we're going to go and win our last 4 Premier League games in a row? I think that would be what it is, right?
If we win the last 2, it'll be 5 in a row.
Yeah. What is the chances of that? When's the last time we did that?
A long time.
Yeah, and we have, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do it. But it's Arteta. It's Arteta, man.
So do you think that if we don't win our last 2 games, he'll get fired?
He could have lost the previous 10. He's not getting fired. So that's the problem. That's the problem with the situation. It doesn't matter how he performs. I don't think they care as long as he's not. If he got relegated, they might consider it.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Okay, listen, we're going to finish out with a couple of other things here. I want to bring this next banner up here. We're going to highlight a few things instead of putting it on the ticker here. Going to go through does Arsenal have a soft centre? Are we a box of chocolates, Gary? We don't know what we're going to get every day.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, it's Arteta's chocolate.
Right?
Is our Willy Wonka, and he creates these boxes of chocolates all the time, and we never know what we're going to see.
I like Willy Wonka. I don't want him to be compared to Willy Wonka.
Maybe is he the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka then? Because he probably
possibly. All right.
that guy's a little dark.
To explain this caption, I had technical issues. Anyone who's watching live now understand I had technical issues. So we're even lucky to be having a podcast right now. It's going 2 hours. And big up to Mahir and big up to both of you for joining me as well. I know 2 hours on a Sunday morning is, it's a good and a bad thing, right? Alonso's getting his coffee. He's up to speed. Well, listen, this is all Premier League stats, and I went to whoscored.com. So check it out. You can go to whoscored.com and you go to the match statistics section. So I thought it'd be curious. I wanted to see how our players were performing this season. And Gary, so going through this, Mari's been involved in Mari's been involved in 10 games, right? So during the time that he's been in the team for those 10 games, the team has gained 20 points. We've won 6 games, drawn 2, and lost 2. So that's how you can read these captions. Gabriel has been involved in 21 games, but we've only gotten 30 points from those 21 games from him. Holding has been involved in 28 games. He's gotten 41 points from those 28 games. And I've extrapolated each one to what a league season would be for 38 games. I'll give you that shortly. David Luiz, 29 points from 20 games. So if you look at Gabriel, Holding, and Luiz and extrapolate them for a full season, Gabriel's on 54 points. This is what we would get after 38 games. 54 points for Gabriel, 55 for Holding, and 55 for David Luiz. And that's exactly where we are right now as a team, 55 points. Mari, a small sample size for 10 games, but if you extrapolate that, 76 points. What I'm cherry picking here, and you can take any stat, and I freely admit you can cherry pick. Pablo Mari, 10 games, we've won 6, drawn 2. It would be 76 points for a 38 game season with Pablo Mari involved in the side. Does that maybe tell you that Pablo Mari might be one of our better defenders?
I just think that's a little skewed because of the sample size being so small.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
think that's
freely
what it
admit
is.
that. It's 10 games. You look at the other 3, they've all shared 21, 28, and 20 games.
Yeah. Was Marie playing in that November, December period when we were struggling,
No.
And that, I mean, that's the part, I mean, Wise Holding got more games than Gabriel, and I understand he had the COVID and all of that.
He's a right-sided defender.
I don't care. I don't. I mean, like I said, I don't. That's got to stop. That kind of thinking. That's the problem. Like, you got our better players, and we don't play them because they supposedly can't work on one side of the field or the other. But we're gonna struggle through it with players. I mean, you look at Holding stats there, and it's like, what is that? The worst ones we got, right? That's the worst stat we got there, percentage-wise.
With Holding, we've won 12 games, drawn 5, and lost 11.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a bad stat there. And is that all on him? No, but he's not a player that's getting us those 12 wins, He's a player that's probably more catering, helping with the 11 losses there,
And we have to caveat this, Gary, by saying Rob Holding would have been paired during that time in October, November with Hector Bellerin. We know that right side of our defense was very, very leaky. Yeah. We're going to have a podcast this summer going through who was responsible for all of the goals we lost.
Yeah, no, that stat is
telling.
Who's our better center back in that list there?
I'm going to say Pablo Mari is our better center back. I know it's a small sample size.
You think so? Yeah.
His record is 6-1-6, drawn 2, lost 2. Gabriel is 9-3-9, and Luiz is 8-5-7.
Yeah.
Real mixed bag across the other.
Well, no, I mean, they offer different things. Marie's not going to help you win as many games, whereas Gabriel does because he will move the ball up the field, and then he definitely opens things up a little bit behind him. And when they play, we weren't losing as many. We lost games because we made mistakes on defense, but we weren't scoring. You know what I mean? So we weren't scoring. We lost a lot of games. 1-0, down 1 because of everything else going on in front of the defensive line. The back line there. The midfield was terrible. Those types of things. You talk about the wings. You talk about Bellerin and then Cedric both having blips. So it's
I specifically wanted to look at our. Arsenal have always had that soft center. Wanted to look if we were a box of chocolates and you won't know what we're going to get. Looking at central defenders and we'll get into central midfield next. But
think about it. You had Cedric kind of set up a goal. You had Xhaka, pass, kick,
Burnley.
You have so many things. To look at the center back pairings and think that's kind of. As it's a nice step, but I don't think it doesn't give us the right answers and stuff. And it's probably more the 11 than it is the 2 center back pairings that we have, right? It's more the 11 not working because as soon as he puts a weak link in there, that's what we get punished by, right? We get punished by wherever that weak link in is. Is that Bellerin on the right? All right, is that El Neni or Ceballos playing in the middle? Right? Is that, Cedric on the left where he's definitely uncomfortable there? Is that Holding in the middle where he's struggling to to cover a header on the shortest play on the pitch. I mean, all these little wherever the weakness was, that's where we got punished a lot of times, at least in my eyes.
And I know that I'm cherry picking here. Pablo Mari is coming in at 2 points a game, and all of the other three are well under, I think, 1.5 points per game. Alonso, what's your thoughts on this? Yes, I wanted to look at our central defensive partnerships: Pablo Mari, Gabriel, Holding, and David Luiz. Holding's had a lot of games, 28 games, and Luiz has had the most games. Gabriel started out really well this season, but found things going badly for him because the team was struggling in October, November, and December.
Yeah, and so this is part of the problem with
Tony's
Arteta. He doesn't know his correct center back pairing, and it's kind of disturbing actually. And he rather go the analytic way of things, and it's almost unfair to the best center back pairing, which to me is still Mari and Gabriel. But he has this theory that every center back should play every so often, which you don't see in the Premier League except for us. And it's quite disturbing that he thinks that way, that everyone should have a chance, whatever. But those chances have either cost us or we've lost, like Gary said, because we lacked goals or mistakes. Because our fullbacks have been constant either, because out of form or what have you, or injury. So Arteta still to this day doesn't know his best
central defensive partnership, let alone the rest,
fullbacks.
right?
So the guy has no clue what he's doing, and he does it at a time in which you don't need to experiment. And so, and like Sam always says, that it shouldn't matter if they're left-footed or right-footed. Just play the game, and get on with it. And why not put the best pairing out there every game?
Yeah, no, exactly. And what we've seen is Holding has had to fill in a lot for David Luiz. We know that he's been injured for a large part of the season. But yeah, and Gabriel has suffered because the team was not playing well. As Gary said, we were not scoring goals going forward. Here's the midfield part, Gary. Thomas Partey, he's had 22 games, 32 points from 66, which is, below 1.5 points a game. What was striking for me was Mohamed El-Neni. He's got some good numbers there. Now, again, if I multiply this out, Partey is 55 points for the season. Granit Xhaka is 59 points for the season. And, of course, we know Dani Ceballos did not play well in midfield as well. He's 49 points for the season when he's participated in games. El-Neni is that security blanket. He doesn't go forward. He's not as creative in midfield, but we have 44 points from 22 games. If you multiply that out for a 38-game season, it's 76 points. So El-Neni, I think, has been very beneficial for us in midfield, and he's underrated a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if I wonder what those stats are in terms of the pairings that we had, what the points are, because it's hard to tell when you look at them separately like that. Like of those four players, who's a starter?
El-Neni for me, if you're going on that stats basis. And
if we are going to compete for championships and going to move up in the table and can be able to compete with the top teams in the league, which one of those four players are you going to build around?
Thomas Partey, because
So the other three, if they were gone tomorrow, you wouldn't miss them.
No,
because you need to find a partner for Partey who is equal, if not better, than him in terms of that position, right? So you know, from what they've done in the past and recently, you know, I look, you know, these stats basically show, you know, what Partey and Xhaka should be playing together, but we know that doesn't give us everything we need to win games, right? So Bios had too many blips, and then he is really a good squad player, you know. And those 22 games, those aren't starts, right? Those are just appearances.
Oh, and you know what? One of those games is when he came on for 5 minutes in his first game away to City.
Those
all
are
remember
those
that,
are
right?
22 starts.
No, Partey has had 16 starts and 6 substitute appearances,
Okay.
but they're all
Yeah.
grouped in together. So
Yeah, so he subbed in games at towards the end when we were losing. I mean, I don't think he subbed
probably
in and
Partey.
we've won a game, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to look at those numbers, and that's why Partey, all of Partey's numbers are really irrelevant because he's not. This isn't. Hopefully, he goes through a summer, he recovers, he's healthy, he goes through a preseason, he gets to play with whatever Arteta wants to play, and he feels more comfortable there. And we do improve his partnership.
When we come to pick the bones through this season, Gary, we all know it's not going to look good for us through October, November, and most of December. It's going to be some dark days when we're talking about that, and those were the months that Partey was trying to get accustomed to the team, and we relied a lot on Tobias, Xhaka, and El Neni through those months as well. Because let's not forget, Partey was injured as well. He came back in the North London derby, and we all remember Arteta. He broke down, and Arteta farcically pushed him back onto the field, which is.
Are we really running a complex system here at Arsenal?
No, that was farcical, pushing the player back out onto the field when he broke down.
Well, no, that part, yeah, but I'm just mean like, is there something that Arteta is asking Partey to do that he hasn't done many times over?
I think
Real
so.
Madrid,
I believe
right,
so.
against better competition.
Like, I think we're asking him to do too much.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Well, ask him to do too much and things that he can't do, because I think he can do a lot of what Arteta's asking him to. Right, and we saw it a couple of games, right, where he's all by himself, and it looked like he was okay handling it. And then we've seen him also in a similar situation where it seems like he's overwhelmed because there is no support, right, for him there when he's there. So I think it's worked back and forth depending on of course, the teams we're playing. But it shouldn't. I kind of feel like he should have been an easy plug and play into whatever Arsenal wanted to do. And we just get better for it, right? You know, you put Willock in the Newcastle, and they just plugged him in, and it works. He gets something positive out of every game that he's played. You know, I know health has to do a lot to do with it, but I think the system also allows for him to kind of express himself too. Partey, I think, feels sometimes is kind of held back because they sometimes don't even focus on him, and you know they will bypass him, but. We saw it in the last game. He had 2 players surrounding him, and he was able to take the pass and slip between the 2 of them, right? We don't have any player that can do that.
No.
And do it consistently. He does it all the time.
I think El Neni has definitely helped us, like I said before. But, Alonso, you want to throw in midfield? As we were saying, El Neni's got some good numbers here. Through those 22 games for El Neni, in the league, we've won 14 and drawn 2, lost 6, and you know our team as a whole have lost 13 games, I think it is. So less than half. He's been involved in those losses. Ceballos has been involved in 11 losses for us. That's pretty much every time we lost, Ceballos was in the team, and that's quite damning for me.
Yeah, because when we got Ceballos,
Granit Xhaka has been involved in 10 defeats as well out of 13. Go ahead, Alonso.
So when we got Ceballos, I believe it was Emery's second year with Arsenal, and when we got him, there was just so much hype around him because he came from Real Madrid, and he was successful with the U21s at Spain, So there's a lot of hype around that, and I think those 2 assists were made out to be something that really weren't that spectacular against Burnley. So there was a lot of hype around that. That being said, I think we as fans were very disappointed with Ceballos' play, especially this year. Yeah, he scored that goal against Sheffield United that got us through the FA Cup, but that's what he did. We needed more from him. And with Xhaka, when we signed Party, I think it enabled Xhaka to do more, but he's been moved around so often this year that it was kind of hard to pinpoint his real position, I guess, or real positives. But El Nene, he became good again this year. I think that loan really helped him out, really helped his value with the club. And I think when he's on, I think he's still getting a lot of stuff from our fans, which is unfortunate. But he's been, in my opinion, our second best central midfielder this year. And you got to give him a lot of credit for that, for not giving up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He gets a lot of crap because he's not what we need in midfield. He's not that flashy. He's not that transformative, creative player we need. But looking at Ceballos, out of the 25 games that he's played for us this season, he's been involved in 11 times that we lost. Granit Xhaka has been involved in 10 times we lost, and probably through no party of himself. Partey's lost, being on the losing side 8 times. Anyway, anything else to add to those? I know we can cherry pick some stats here and there to
Yeah. No, I mean, to me, it's more about the talent. So I'm going to go with the talent over those stats, right? So Gabriel and Partey, even though their stats aren't that good, are the players that you're going to be building upon. So why not? All those other players, if they were to go, like I said, I don't think we would miss them. We need them for depth, but they're not starters that we're going to build on for the future.
Yeah.
Gary, did everyone leave for tea time, or is it just because Tony?
Yeah. Well, we've hit the 2 hour mark in the middle of a Sunday, I guess, for some.
Yeah. So it's getting to be lunchtime here. I think it's just before noon. Where Alonso is. Last topic, and I know it's like getting close to tea time in England. Last topic, guys. Then none of this Europe watch works if we don't win our next 2 games, Gary.
No, for sure, and that's as I said, that's the part of the equation that we can only control. So we need to beat, Crystal Palace. They will take advantage of any of your blips. If we don't come to play and we make mistakes, they will punish us, right? When they scored 2 goals today, I think they scored 3 goals today.
Right, yeah.
And they had opportunities to score a couple more. So
Saka.
Yeah. So I think they had, they could punish us, and we could, but we should be able to manage the game and get something out of it, right? So it's all on us how we play, and we need to get our, who's going to play for us? Are we going to play? Is Balogun going to get to go on the bench? Is Aziz going to get to go on the bench? Those are the 2 players I want to see on the bench at the least.
I don't think you're going to see it. I think Arteta is going to be focused on getting the points as much as possible to make his season look better. And honestly, we have. Well,
if that's the case, then he's got to play his best 11 players, not the best 11.
Right.
Right. Big difference. Play your best 11 players, which that means Saka is playing left back if Tierney's not healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
To this day, we're going to go.
And Saka can play right back. Right.
We're going to go into the summer. We're going to go into the summer with this. I'm sorry, Gary. The Europa League first and second leg, and that's going to hurt because he did the thing that he should have done. He did the thing against West Brom. He put Saka playing a left back. I'm still annoyed about that, if you can't tell. And we all are annoyed about it. Alonso, I heard about Roy Hodgson is going to be leaving his post as manager for Palace. This will be his last home game against Arsenal. it's all set up. We're going to hand out gifts on Wednesday, and it's going to be Roy Hodgson's last home game. Crystal Palace are going to get that win that they need.
You know, it's so funny it happens like that because we always have a hard time against Crystal Palace every single time, and when we need the points, they Arsenal for some reason always collapse, and Zaha just tears us up because he knows we can't defend him, because he knows that Xhaka's not fast enough for him, right? So I think that it'll be, I hate to say it, but I think it'll be disastrous for us. But people discount us whenever we were going to play Chelsea and Man City in the FA Cup final. People say we're going to lose to both of them. So that being said, you know, who knows what kind of team's going to show up against on Wednesday. So,
hey, Gary, in a season of big tests that Arsenal have not really passed in the league, we've won 3 in a row now. Can we go to Crystal Palace and Selhurst Park? Which, Tony, I was already typing up the answer to your question here before your question even came up, because I knew you were going to ask me where was that game at. But can we go? We need to show up, Gary. The team needs to show up and get a result.
Yeah, we definitely do. We know we can do it, right? I mean, why not play the Marie Gabriel combination in the middle? Put our two best defenders in there with Benteke. Yeah, with Benteke, you know, he's going to be crazy in the air. We need big guys up there that, you know, could clear the ball. Chambers out on the right, Tierney or Saka on the left, depending on who's healthy, and then just go as strong as possible. I mean, I know El Neni and Partey probably is our best midfield, but I mean, I'm almost tempted to say, you know, is Odegaard, is he healthy, or is he still not 100% ready to go?
He's been disappointing recently. I think somebody said he had an ankle injury. Earlier.
So I think, you know, with him not being, so I guess Smith-Rowe will have to still play in the middle there. But yeah,
I'm glad actually that Emile Smith-Rowe has stepped forward now, because, you know, we can say we're less reliant on Odegaard.
Well, yeah, and what was strange about that is that he did, you know, he still felt like he could put Emile Smith-Rowe out there on the left side, right? Even when they were both healthy. Or it's like, you know, what was the point of that? You know, and then like anything else, he goes away. He has some good games. He gets injured. He continues to play, comes back, and now he can't play anymore. You know, I don't understand the medical program we have running here, but a player that after he got the initial nick on his ankle, I think played 1 or 2 more games after that, and then now for Arsenal can't get up back into form, can't get back healthy. It's just
So listen, 2.5 hours. We're going to wrap it up. Big props to both of you for joining and sitting for that long. Alonso, yeah, I'm going to bring you in. Got anything to say about Crystal Palace? And Stephen said, "Oh, Tony, I've been listening and haven't been reading the comments. I thought West Brom might get a win." And I think in the cup competition here, Tony is up against Gary. So, Gary, you didn't make it, right? Your upset didn't make it. So, you're open to. I think I go through against Alonso.
No, I have Wolves.
Yeah, you had Wolves. Yeah, I got the draw against with Brighton. So I'm in the FA Cup final, and
was Gary and me.
If Tony holds on to a 1-1 draw with West Brom and Liverpool, he's in the other FA Cup. He's in the FA Cup final.
What happens if he doesn't? Does that mean you win? It's over.
It'll go to goal difference and goals scored. So if it's a 2-1, he's still.
He's going to win anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
If it's 3-1, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh, they have to lose like 4-1, and then all.
Yeah, because you lost 2-0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would have to be what, 3-1 or 4-1? It would have to be a 4-1 defeat.
4-1, yeah.
Liverpool go on and win.
Yeah,
like
so I don't. That's fine, Tony. You can have it. I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna say I'm gonna get Arteta and just collapse.
Gary's concentrate on the league right now. He needs to get
and I'm failing miserably.
Over the line.
Miserably. I think I've probably picked up 5 points in like the last month.
It'll go to the last game of the season. It'll be interesting, Gary.
Yeah.
Hey, Alonso, Crystal Palace, and give us your final thoughts as well. We'll get out of here.
Like I said earlier, I think that it's always a tough game between Arsenal going over there to Crystal Palace. It'll be tough, but like I said before, we need to play like this is our FA Cup final, or at least against Manchester. This is our semi-final. So we have to, somehow find a way to win, and I think we'll show up. I think that Arsenal ought to go out on a high, even if we lose out on Europe. I think that's important for the guys in the locker room to have at least a winning streak to go out on. I think that is important for morale, and you can get business done. As far as transfers go, at least have targets, so we can prepare and not sign these guys so late in the season or in the transfer season.
Yeah. Listen, I'll say my 2 cents and then I'll give Gary the last word here. Very important. I'll be watching the Crystal Palace game just to see if the players are behind Arteta, if they're still playing for the manager. It'll be very important if they don't. If they pack it in, that means they're not behind the manager. If they go out and get a result or a performance, that's something I'm going to be looking for. In terms of going into Europe or not, it's not in our hands. We have to try and win our games and hope. I think it's a long shot. I don't think we're going to make Europe right now. The only reason I want it to be in Europe is to keep the young players at Arsenal. I do not trust Arteta paring our squad down because he would probably get rid of some of the younger players that are our future and not our present, So, listen, we'll see what happens. But in any case, we'll be back Thursday night to review the Crystal Palace game. And with that, Gary, I'll turn it over to you and give us your final word and final thoughts.
Yeah, well, surprises. That's all I'm going to say, man. We're going to get surprises like we usually do. Now, I like 2 good surprises to finish off this season. Our fans, I think, deserve it. They've been putting us through the ring air. Trying to do whatever they've been doing. So yeah, I kind of feel like 2 more surprises left, and how many more big surprises does Arteta have for us? We need to win the next 2 games. We need to win them anyways, but we need to win them even more now, just to go out on a high, and also the home game with the fans. I know we need as big of a protest on the outside as we need fandom on the inside for that one. So let's see how that goes. But I think it's this Wednesday. We need to come out, ready to play. Everybody that's healthy should be healthy again. Let's see how we do. I mean, I like I said, I expect a surprise, and I just don't know where it's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So
listen, check out DWTT on YouTube as well. Gary does some good stuff over there. I like his what he saw and his vibes as well. Listen, the other thing as well, we're going to do a Fever Pitch movie review. We'll figure out the particulars on that. It will probably be after next Sunday. So getting into the summer, or probably the next Sunday after this coming Sunday when the final game. 2 weeks from now, right? We'll probably have it on mute because of copyright issues. But if you haven't seen Fever Pitch, watch it before you watch us do the Fever Pitch watch along. Because I think as an Arsenal fan, there's a lot of good things to take from it, right, Alonso? I know you liked the movie.
Yeah, it was kind of serendipitous to the times we're at now, as Arsenal fans, letting us down, especially this season, the past 2 seasons actually. Well, this season more so than not, because we want our Arsenal win, but we also know our reality as far as where we're at as a club and as supporters. We're going through some tough times with our ownership right now, and a lot of things are happening more negative than positive right now. So yeah, I mean it's relatable, especially during these times.
Yep.
And I guess to finish, since we are playing Crystal Palace next, the women played Crystal Palace today. They won. They won 9-0. They won 9-0 today against Crystal Palace. So I'm not sure if that's good for us or bad for us.
How could our men's team compete with that, Gary? It's just not possible. Even in the best of days,
9-0, and they didn't even start all of I didn't even start their best players. Some of them came off the bench. So yeah,
right.
everybody scored. Everybody scored. One player had 2 goals. Otherwise, there was 8 scores today.
Well, listen, we'll sign off there. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you haven't already, slap a like on the video. Always does help to push it up the minor rankings that we're in, but really is appreciated. We got through a lot today together. We had technical issues, a lot like Arsenal, a lot like this season. It hasn't been easy. This podcast, the beginning of it wasn't easy, but since December 26th, we did just fine. We were third in the table. We got through the FA Cup final. Glad Leicester got that win. I would love City to win the Champions League now, and Chelsea fans could be a bit more salty. We talked about Daniel Ek and the ownership. Arsenal fans, you need to rally around the people who will be spearheading the campaign for Cronky out. It will happen. There will be people to take the lead, but you have to follow. It is my opinion that buying shirts is the one thing that we can stop doing. You know what I mean? I'm wearing a shirt from last season. I'm not going to buy any more merch until Cronky's out of here. That's the one thing we can do. We can hit the sponsors, have a look. I don't drink any more Lavazza coffee because that's a sponsor. Don't fly with the Emirates if at all possible. There's lots of things that you can do. So we don't know if Daniel Ek is serious. Hopefully he is. All signs maybe point to that he's not entirely serious, or he's been disheartened by the reply of "we don't need your money" or "we don't need the money." Only rich people say that, Gary and Alonso. And
I don't know what that sounds like. I don't need the money.
Everyone needs some money, right, Alonso? Come on, Stan.
I see Darren just joined us before we were finishing up here. So Darren, you caught our outro. So we are
the outro. We're going for a long
landing
outro
soon.
again.
Make sure your trade tables are up and all of your belongings are put away. We will be landing in a few seconds.
That's the ownership. That's the ownership. So I had a meltdown just now. Autism. I completely understand that, Darren. So good to come on here and chill out. Hope you guys are well. And listen, I'd love to understand a little bit more about it as well. I know about it, but it's always more to learn. Other things we talked about, go back and watch the rewinds, Darren, if you want. Players that are leaving, players that are reported leaving. We're in a situation now where we as long as they're not young players that we really, really like, we could care less about who wants to leave. If you're not committed to Arsenal, see you later. Goodbye. It's been can't even say it's been great, Gary, right?
Huh?
Or Alonso. Can't even say it's been great. Just sayonara. See you later.
Yeah, no. If you don't want to be here, then you gotta go.
Finally, I cherry-picked a couple of stats about our central defenders and our central midfielders. Go back and look at my cherry-picking. It's good stuff. And then we looked at Europe. What's the permutations we need? We need Tottenham to only get 2 points, and we need Everton to only get 4 points. So I'll be watching the Everton game with interest in a little bit. Crystal Palace. It's all dependent, Alonso, on us beating Crystal Palace, and that's something we're going to know if the players are committed to Arteta. It's going to be another little sign we're watching for. So Arsenal players, we're watching you, and you better do something. Last 2 games, right? Finally, want to thank you as always for giving the time to come on and talk about it. Gary, the start of the season, I know it was therapy, and because Alonso, you didn't come on so much on the Sundays, but there was a lot of therapy on the weekends in November and December. And we kind of got into the swing of things, but I want to give a shout out to Alonso and Gary, Tony, Sam, Stan, Mahir, of course, all the people who have met this season. Enjoyable from the point of view that we've been able to talk about Arsenal issues and get through things together, and everyone watching as well, all of our subscribers and all of that. It's been a tricky season, right, Gary? But we're coming to the end of it now. 1 week
it's
to go.
two more left.
And
two more goes of this, and hopefully
2 more.
A week from now, it'll be all over.
All the dust will have settled, Alonso. It will all be over. And will we have improved? Maybe a little bit. We would have gotten the points that we need to go past 56 points last season, but it's debatable. And Alonso, we're going to debate about it throughout the summer.
Okay.
Yep. It's definitely 7 days from now. The season will be over.
And you know what annoys me? I'm looking at United's schedule and I see that they have a final, and we don't have a final for the last. We should have been in that final for the last game of our season.
Yeah.
Very distressing. And watching Leicester win our cup yesterday. It's on loan, Leicester. We want it back next season. And Arteta don't take the FA Cup lightly. I mean, he took the Carabao Cup lightly. He took the FA Cup lightly. And he put all of his eggs in the Europa League and the Premier League.
And he looked like he did the same thing in the Europa League semifinals. He kind of didn't take it lightly. I mean, he couldn't have. He couldn't have been too serious about winning that match the way he set up the team. Apparently so. He would probably argue differently and say something eloquent in a press conference. Yeah, but nobody who follows football would look at that and go, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do understand where you're coming from." Yep, you learned under Pep. Yep, that makes. I could see Pep making that move. All right, it's been a long one today. Let's get out of here. Do something fun. And Gary, congratulations to your daughter. Yes, you were with us on Thursday. Your daughter graduated, so congratulations. I'm glad you had a good evening with the fam. Yep, that was cool. It was good. Good to see. 4 years of work, and see, and this is the next step, right? It's just another step. So we'll see where she goes from there. There's many steps. There's a step every day. Every time you open your eyes is another step. So yeah, just like Arsenal, it's a journey, right? And what do you always say? Life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Alonso, as always, thanks for joining. I'm glad you're able to join us today.
Yeah, it was fun.
Are you working?
Yeah. No,
I'm working later. You're off today.
So I'm watching NASCAR and
and Everton losing.
Yeah, right.
Because Everton losing will help me and help Arsenal. And Brownie, if you're watching, be afraid. Be very afraid, Brownie. Yeah, I want you to win that. I've been wanting you to win that bet, but it hasn't. The obsesses have not panned out. All right, listen, we're out of here for the final time until next Thursday and then Sunday. Thanks for watching, everybody, and really do appreciate everybody part of the group. And see you later. Come on, you Gooners. Let's get that win in Selhurst Park, right?
Yeah, all right.